All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Nebb. I'm Laredo City Manager. I've been here since February 21st, 2023. So on my way for tenure or time with the office and everything. So thank you all for coming out and taking time out of your busy days to talk about this. This is actually the city manager's first town hall meeting. Most of the town hall meetings we have are based upon the city officials, the elected officials. They'll do town hall meetings for their district. What I'm hoping to do is that part of what we will do is do these city service meetings. So the city manager is responsible for all city services that we do for the city of Laredo. And so I wanted to come in and I've been hired by the mayor and the city council to run all the day-to-day operations. So when, I know a lot of you talk with your elected officials and everything, and they're very receptive to hear from you, to know what you're concerned about. But when it comes to directing staff, it's me. And so I want to make sure you're aware of that, because I'm sometimes faster to get to, or at least my crew is faster to get to. There's 4 city managers, 2 assistants, 1 deputy, and myself. And so as we walk through these things, what I want to do is make sure that you know that the office is open and that you can always reach out. You're always welcome to reach out to every one of the elected officials as well too, and then talk with them as you wish. But keep in mind that as an elected official, they work as a body, right? And so their decisions are made at behind the dais and when they work on that. I'm responsible for all the departments, and I'll show you exactly why when we get there. But so I just want to give you a faster avenue in order to walk through when services are not going the way that you think they should, or we can provide you a better explanation. We do have some of the elected officials in the room, so if you get a chance, I told them that they're not working tonight. It'll be me talking. I'm going to do a little bit of the conversation on the front side. I want to hear from you on the front side. I'll explain why, and then I've got a little bit of a preaching point. I've got a few slides put together of the things that I want to make sure you hear from me on Laredo's animal care service. There's a couple documents as well too over there, and we'll go through those. But know that these elected officials, the ones that were able to find time and the ones that were unable to be here, are all together with trying to make sure that we provide good quality services to our community and take care of all of our needs. All right, and so just want to make sure I laid that out there. From there, this QR code up here, the 2 documents that we had sitting over there, well, 1 document in my presentation. We will make the presentation available to you after I give the presentation. So you'll be able to get that, because there's some really good information in there, or I'll tell you where you can get the information. But this QR code, the document that I see a lot of you actually have copies of, is what I call the standards of operation for the animal care services shelter, that process. What I found early on was that we don't have a lot of, if we have written standards at all, they're old. They're from a bygone age. They're not all up to date. The only things that we generally have gotten up to date are certain operational things that happen. And so the idea was, and what I always want to make sure I do, is take the uncertainty out of everything that we're doing. So the idea is that let's have accurate standards, let's have accurate processes. So some of the stuff you will like, because I think it meets some of what your concerns are. Some of it you won't like, but I will have a written standard to start how we're doing the service. So what I want you to do is that those things, we can always work on doing better, right? That's the whole idea about this. We can always do better. We should never be happy with the status quo. So the idea is that let's build a model that helps us do that and build better. So if you know how to use your cell phone and scan QR codes, you can get a copy of this. It's already posted out on the website at the Animal Care Center. And so this is a document that has taken a few years. I actually started this document at other locations. I've done city management for about 25 years in the states of Indiana, South Dakota, New Mexico, and now Texas, Laredo, Texas. And so this is a culmination from a lot of different sources. It comes out of the Veterinary Medicine Association. It comes from a lot of different things. It's got a lot of good practices in there. And so the idea, and I will tell you about the good and the bad of some of these things, but the idea though is to have them so that you understand how we're operating the business, right? That's the key to this thing. So if you have a chance to scan that, that'll be good. I also have a lot of good staff members from animal care here. So we'll talk about them a little bit as we go through that. And is everybody ready? Ready. Okay. I didn't know I had a commercial. All right. Okay. Are we able to turn that camera, or I got a little bit of the verbiage on the outside edge. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. First off, we're going to do a little exercise, what I call seeking input from the attendees. So what we'll have is that we've got Karen up here by the board. If you have a question that you want to address, or you want to have a comment you want to make, now will be the time to do it. Now, if you're not ready to, we can do it later on in the conversation. But what I want to do is that as I give my presentation, as I give all the pieces that I have prepared with that, I will work responses in of what is up on the board as well too. So is there anything anybody wants to know about tonight? Is there anything that I can answer to help you understand how Laredo Animal Care Services will operate?
I have a question. So on paper that looks really good. I've already gone through it. And but if it's not being implemented, then it doesn't do any good. And so you said that the fastest way to resolve issues is to go straight to you. And if you recall, in March, I went to you, and nothing was done. As far as I'm concerned, things just got worse and worse and worse. And I gave you examples that the numbers were not adding up, and nothing was, I never saw any type of resolution. I've also talked to my council member Gonzalez, and I spoke to him. I sent him pictures. I sent you guys pictures, and nothing was done. So yeah, that looks really good on paper, but if it's not being implemented, then what good does it do?
If you remember during that conversation, because we did meet in March. We met in March.
You said give me 3 months.
Yep. And we've been working on it since then. And some of the stuff I will show you is the background. This document had to be vetted through making sure that it's not in violation of Texas law, our state codes and everything. And so it took a little longer. What I find is that Laredo is fairly active with everything that it does. And so we will address that. Can we write up on the board, though, that it looks good on paper? Will it be implemented? Because I will answer that question.
I have a question. We have animals that when we call 311 to be picked up, they just say, okay, it's been reported. 2 hours later, the animal's still there.
Yep.
Call again. It's been reported. Somebody's going to come. It doesn't happen. This was just a week ago. Sorry. They had another javelina. It was hit, couldn't move, laid there. I called, it was at 9:30 when I saw the posting. It drug himself to the side. I saw it later in the day because I was busy. 9:30 I saw it in the morning. It was about 6 in the afternoon. It was still being posted that nobody had gone by. I called 311. I said, this is ridiculous.
Right. We'll cover that one.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
I'm sorry? Oh, yeah.
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we'll make sure that the microphone gets used.
Okay.
So the question on this one was that when we have animals out there that are notified through 311, why does it take so long to get them picked up or not picked up at all?
I mean, this one was a kitten in
Right.
front of Chili's. Nobody could come. Fire department, nobody. They went, citizens by themselves, got a rig, put it up there, climbed up to rescue the cat. Other cities, we don't have that. A horse goes in a well, they bring a helicopter. I mean, they don't say, oh, we can't do anything about it.
Sure.
And it doesn't take hours. I mean, I called the game warden and he says, isn't that the javelina from last night? I said, well, if it's from last night, it's been there suffering all this time. I mean, that's kind of animal abuse, isn't it? Just to leave an animal there suffering.
Yep.
And then we had citizens trying to take it to a sanctuary, but I tried to attack them, so then they left it alone.
All right. We'll answer that one. I'll get back.
I'm here tonight because I'd like to see the topic of spay neuter animals coming out of the city shelter. One of the city's practices, long-time practices, is to give away animals at zero cost, not spayed or neutered. So that exacerbates the problem. We end up with more animals. There has got to be, if not an on-site vet, there has got to be at least someone with whom to contract that. I know Rio Grande is somebody or other, but still, the animals that leave that shelter should not leave without being spayed or neutered.
Right.
And that has happened since the shelter began.
Okay, we got it?
Hi, who provides daily oversight of the
Shelter?
shelter?
All right. Who
Who
where?
provides oversight, not the director? Who
Yes,
provides
okay.
oversight?
All right, we will cover that one. Let's go over here real quick and then we'll come back.
Where is the director? This is her department. Where is she?
The director is on personal leave. And it's within the city's responsibilities. That's how it goes. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, I want to touch on this lady's point about spay and neuter, because I have personally had 2 females at my house. I have been fostering them. They were tagged for rescue, and they both gave birth at my house. They had been adopted out of the shelter in December, one of them in December, and on May 15th, it had a litter at my home. So, and this is a subject that I touched on with the director herself in 2022, because it happened twice at my home. And then the calls just don't go out to bring in people back to spay neuter their pets, or they never get a call back. The customer calls in, but nobody from the shelter calls them back to schedule the spay or the neuter.
Okay, all right. You can come back over to this side.
Why don't we have TNR?
Good question.
There is TNR, or at least the ordinance is in place.
Ordinance is in place, no TNR.
Well, and we'll walk through the TNR, but put TNR up there. We'll be covering that one. It's up on my phone.
The ordinance was established in
Yes.
2018.
Yes.
My home, so I know.
I'll cover
it's not a
that.
problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you said you were city manager of different cities. If they have the same problem, and if not, what were they doing that we don't do?
The first few that I worked with were too small, all right? They were small communities, so it may have been a more of a regional county approach to animal pickup. Didn't even have an officer at the first city that I worked with. In the last 3 cities, we've had relationships with the Humane Society that did a lot of the work for one city up in South Dakota. In Roswell, New Mexico, they did all of it and then worked with the fosters. The relationship was very similar to this one. So I'll be talking a lot about the good and the bad of what happens with this. And so I'll get into that. But I would say that there's challenges at every one of the facilities. I know that even in Austin, Texas, when I was doing some research, there was a relationship between Austin, the city of Austin, and Austin Pets Alive that wasn't all solid, right? It was about the facility that they were in. It was about the cost of operating the facility and everything. So these relationships change. It's the communication that helps. I think that's going to be one of the primary things that you guys are all talking about, is that you don't know what's happening and you're not getting a response back, or we're not getting a call, or we're not getting those things. The communication is going to be a big part of this thing.
Kind of adding on here, but new to the community, quickly got right into rescuing and adopting a dog that was living on the streets. If I was not recently retired, I would have given up. I had to go back to the shelter 5 different times. Nobody ever called me back. I was routinely making phone calls to try to help this dog, and not everybody can do that. So community involvement is quite challenged when the communication and procedures are challenged.
Yep.
And community is interested. So the community does want to do something, but we're hitting a brick wall.
Let me come up to you. We have this lady here.
Good evening. This is a city dilemma, and it's not for lack of funds. Because if we're the #1 inland port, that means we have money. And everybody here in this room can agree that we are interested in the animals. I quickly went over this document. I did not see a mission statement. I did not see goals. I did not see objectives. I didn't see anything being talked about the people that are involved. It's about the animals. Yes, we know it's about the animals, but what are the humans doing for the animals? That's my question.
Okay. Mission, goals? Right up here. Right here. Corey? Right here first.
I have a question. We report animal cruelty numerous of times. We have the proofs, videos, and pictures, and why these abuses keep their animals, why they are not removed.
Okay. Cruelty, abuse. Okay. Come over here. You guys are gonna build me a big agenda, aren't you?
So my question is, I think it's a little bit on what she just mentioned about cruelty. What are we doing for enforcement as a city? We know that illegal dumping it's illegal, and nothing gets done. I mean, I follow these social media pages where they dump complete litters of puppies. I mean, week-old puppies in a park, and citizens have to be made responsible. So what are we doing about, one, educating the public about not doing that because it's illegal, and also enforcing the laws?
Part of that problem is when somebody goes to surrender, they are charged. People don't have the money, and instead of thinking outside the box, they say no, they turn them away, and they dump them. That has happened.
Yeah, the challenge with all of that is that the city and all of you caring volunteers are put to fix somebody else's problem that made the problem. Right? I mean, that's part of the problem. That's the education. That's all those pieces. And let's make sure everybody else that have not asked for a question or a comment to be put up on the board. Yes, all right, we have one back there, and then we'll come up here.
Okay, my issue is that we had one of our pets picked up. It was early in the morning. We have a timestamp. And it took us 6 hours to get our pet back, even though we were there. And no one could help us. And they told us that they were out to lunch and that they would call back, and they never called back. We waited there until somebody finally spoke to us. And then we were given a citation because they said it was our second time that our pet had escaped, and it was not. They confused our pet with someone else's. They had no records, I suppose.
Okay. All right, and we have this lady right here for it.
Just foster to adopt. You all work with a very thin line where supposedly it's legal to not spay and neuter because you all go through that foster to adopt, but you all don't follow up.
Right. Thank you, Al. All right.
Is there any reason the city can't accept grants, donations, any other funds from profit or non-profit organizations?
No. We accept grants from a lot of other sources.
But they have to be applied.
But they have to be applied.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody applies for them, usually not the director.
Right back there. Okay?
When you have those campaigns that you offer vouchers or people to get their pets fixed, you have a line of people and you only get like 50 customers. If you have those people willing to fix their animal, why is it that you only get 50? Now, wouldn't that save the city money? If you look at the long run, they're gonna go and dump their pets over there because they have litters and they don't want them.
The vouchers are through grants. The vouchers are money given to us for the distinct purpose of that. So that money gets put back out in the state and
Wasn't there money set aside
City,
from the
that's
city
lapsed.
budget over the last couple of years for that?
there is some money that is set aside for that. The Animal Care Center, and you guys are jumping into my presentation a little bit. We operated the Animal Care Center for $4 million a year. And of that, it gets broken up a lot of different ways. So let's get one more question here, right here. She hasn't said anything yet.
Is it common practice for, I'm new to the city as well, and to the community, but is it common practice when you're calling to ask for help to be advised that, to the shelters, that they would be euthanized? The dogs, animals that you're calling in regards to would be euthanized versus helped or cared for?
Yeah.
Because I currently am literally fostering about 5 dogs from the neighborhood. 3 of them are pregnant right now that I can tell. I'm feeding them, trying to care for them because I've called myself to see what kind of assistance can be provided. And they've informed me that it's better to try and keep them or try and feed them because they would be euthanized due to not having the ability to care for them.
We'll talk about that. These two here, and then we're gonna get started, right? Okay.
There's a dollar amount that is needed to run an adequate shelter in this city. What percent is actually being provided now?
We have an almost a $900 million budget. Now, that's not all general fund. That's all the enterprise fund, water, sewer, and everything. We spend $4 million a year on animal care.
But how much is actually needed to provide adequate?
I don't know if that, yeah, and that's a conversation that the city council has as well too, as to exactly what are we providing? And because some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about that is based upon the laws of the city and the laws of the state won't match what you guys are talking about. We have the ability to change our system, but let me walk through some of that, and then hopefully maybe we can get to that answer, but we got that one right. What percentage of that money? Let's get one more.
Last point. I was on the city's advisory board back in 2018 and 2019. The city has an ordinance that in order to have a litter of puppies, you have to have a permit. We have daily in the newspaper animals being sold, hundreds of dollars. I myself asked that somebody just call the number. Their answer was, well, we don't know where they are. Call the number and say you want to buy one of the dogs and then you've got them. We have so many ordinances that we do not enforce.
Correct.
So ordinances are useless if they're not enforced.
Right. Okay. So the rest of the agenda will cover the pertinent broad level points. We're going to cover the laws, regulations, responsibilities. We're going to talk about the implementation, the standards of operation, and wrap up. We just sought the input. This is where I'm going to start the conversation at. I will tell you that based upon the questions and the comments that were made, based upon what I know is in my presentation, we need more conversation. This will not cover it all, just so you know. And so bear with me as I clear the dust, right? And I try to make these changes and these adjustments with our crew. So, all right. I misspelled charter, and I said chatter. No, public chatter. This is the right one. That chatter is the right word. All right. So I wanted to start with this because this is one of the things I want to make sure that everybody understands. And those of you that have grown up here for a longer time, back in November 21, 2017, there was a petition out there about the high kill shelter of Laredo, right? 64,000 signatures on that. You know, and I don't mind petitions, just so you know, I don't mind petitions, but I really care more about the local input than somebody from New York or somebody from Arizona. It's okay because they're kindred spirits, right? They all care about animals the same way. But I want to make sure that you understand that wasn't 64,000 Lareadians. But there was a concern back in 17. Actually, the reason I'm throwing that up there is because what I have found over the years is that these issues with animal care continue to be kind of cyclic. And what you will see out of tonight's meeting, you'll see a lot of movement from the city, and it's whether or not we can get it to stick and stay there as we go forward. I will tell you that based upon some of the information that you're providing me as well too, you want it different than what the laws say. So that's another conversation. That's where these city councilors that are in the room are going to hear some of that as well too. All right, December 8th, Laredo Morning Times, rescue groups want change, right? December 8th. June 22nd, 2021, protesters outside City Hall demand firing of the animal shelter director. And then, of course, we have the petition that's just recently out there from September 29th, Health Reform, LACS, Laredo Animals Deserve to Live. That's all, that was a lot of the big chatter out there. And some of the things that I wanted to make sure I shared with that is that there is a cycle at times when we're not paying attention to the service that we're providing. And that's what I'm trying to change here as well too. That's why when Mary and I spoke back in March, I said, give me time. Because the Laredo is 22,600 employees, almost 3,000 employees, a $900 million budget. We do a little bit of everything here, right? And we have the border, we have all that activity that's happening, and we're moving all those pieces. So I said, just give me a little bit of time. And I thought we talked well enough on that. There's a lot of these things that take time. One, I have to make sure that I can get it done. Two, I have to make sure that it sticks. If it doesn't stick, then we're back talking about it another time. This is a slide that I shared with the city council as we talked about this. We had this meeting a couple months ago with city council when we were having the challenges between animal care services and the APA, the Austin Pet Supply Group, for doing the veterinary services. This is from PETA. And this is the challenge we have with animal management, and I'll show you a slide that kind of breaks down how this service is. But trying building up animal shelters to keep the endless stream of homeless animals is like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. I had a conversation with Best Friends in another job, and Best Friends, the animal care, and and I asked, I said, how big should my shelter be? Just don't build the shelter bigger, because then you'll have more animals in them. Fix the way you get them adopted. And it's like, okay, thank you, because we can keep building and building and building, and we're still not fixing the inherent problem of getting these animals on their way to their forever homes, right? And then, and Pete goes a little bit farther, and I think this is the thing that we have to watch with the balance of the trap, neuter, release, and everything is that who's caring for the animals on the street. And I think somebody had mentioned about feeding the animals. I got 5 of them, right? And so who is caring for them and as they're out there? Cats are a little bit different than dogs, right? Because of how they behave and everything. So cats usually can, I guess, find space usually a little bit differently. But this is from PETA. And it's really interesting to see, because just trap, neutering, and release everything is not going to fix all of the issues. Again, we have an inherent problem with how do we educate everybody? How do we stop the incessant breeding and knowing? One of the slides I don't have up here is that, annual cost, average cost for having a dog is $1,400 a year.
More.
Yeah, well, this was average. This was average, and so maybe we pamper them a little differently. And $980 for cats is what was out there on, and Google can't be wrong, right? All right. But I tried to make sure that information was updated, because what I think people don't understand is the value and the cost that's associated with bringing something into your family, right? And making that family member. Okay. Euthanization, you know, even, and I know we can get into the conversation about no-kill or kill-type facilities and everything. Euthanization happens. It's why does it happen and when does it happen? That's the key to it. And that's the whole idea. I'm a firm believer, because I will show you a slide. I have 303 enclosures at animal care centers to put an animal into. 303 enclosures. We are at 500 right now. Now, my fear about having an overcapacity at that facility is you get one bad case of parvo through there, guess what we're going to end up doing? We're going to lose the entire group. All of them that are infected at that time. We have to keep that shelter at capacity. And that means we still have to fix getting them on their way. Because we can't just keep putting animals in because what happens is that then we start deciding, are we going to go pick this one up or not? And that's our primary responsibility, get them off the street. And so, and when you look at some of these numbers, even with our spay and neutering that we're currently doing, I think we did 1,000 cats last year. I think, was that the number that I was given, was about 1,000 cats last year that we spayed and neutered.
Did the city do that?
The city did that number.
Were they transported or they?
No, and then they were sent out. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. But the problem is that so we have 8,500 animals a year going through our facility. 8,500. As best I can tell, based upon the estimates, our stray level is probably 6 times that. Which means all the spay neutering that we're doing, and somebody sent me an email today and said, we need to be doing more. And I have to say yes, because if we're only getting 25% of the animals, if you use conservative estimates, the rest of them are breeding over the top of what we've spayed and neutered. So it's really, the system is not working right. All right. These are the 3 things that we do. Our first one here, and just so you know, in Texas law and everything, animal care generally had fallen underneath the health department because it was about rabies, it was about any type of disease that can come from the animals to the people. That was the reason why they have all these laws for animal control. So our primary purpose is getting the strays out of the community for the sake of the people. It's not for the sake of the animal. So make sure you understand that a little bit, because that's why our system is built the way it is. It has not made that shift very well into trying to balance out both of them. The secondary reason is, of course, the sake of the animal. And I have people from the facility here. I wanted to make sure you put a face to that, because they do everything they can. I think I was on Facebook this week looking at the animals that they're posting out there. You know, they name them and they dress them up really nice, hoping somebody will adopt them out. Did you see the picture of Dust Bunny? All right. Yeah, that's a Halloween jacket that Dust Bunny was wearing. We need to get those animals out of there, right? I mean, that's the idea, because we cannot euthanize anything that's not in our shelter. That's the key to this thing. That's the trick. I have 303 enclosures. All right, educate the public. This is that secondary. I don't think we do it very well, because I would say that this is the enforcement on those breeders, because we have a code that talks about that, and that goes back to your point. We have the law in place. How do we enforce that law? And we'll talk about that.
Can I comment something super quick? So we need to be on the same page with PD, because we've called multiple times in offices.
I'll repeat it.
Yeah, the city has to be on the same page with PD, because we call and PD does not know what.
So she's saying that we need to be on the same page with police department,
Yes.
with the work
Yes.
that they do,
Yes.
because they overlap, right? For
Yes.
whatever happens. All right. So this is that second leg of our business, and that we have to educate. And I don't think we do it enough. I believe in communication. That's why I'm here talking with all of you. And good or bad, it doesn't matter to me, because I want to make sure that we're talking. And we're going to find a way. I mean, and for the last 6 months, I've been working with the shelter and with animal care about moving things better than they were. They are moving. They're just moving about as fast as red tape will allow it. And so we're gonna work on that. But the education of the public, I think I've seen some billboards about adoptions and everything. I see those out there. I think LAPS does a great job, right? The Animal Protective Society, they try to get it, help as much as they can. And then we talk about the spay and neutering and the vaccinations and everything. And so we'll talk about that as we get into the shelter guidelines, because this was talked about with the entire department. They actually made some adjustments to the document to fit what Laredo is doing. So some of the stuff I will tell you ties directly back to what they are doing. So and then care for the animals long enough so they can be rescued or to humanely put down. I don't get into the moniker of a no-kill or a kill-type shelter because it happens for a lot of different reasons. What I do know is that if we get the animals out of there, then we can't put them down. And so that's the whole idea, is that we have to have a system there. Now, what I will say is that the shelter operates, I talked about the 8,500 animals a day or a year that we move through, right? 303 enclosures. At those numbers, we need 23 animals a day to leave that shelter. We're not anywhere close. I think if we're lucky if we have 23 a month going. So if it wasn't for the trap, neuter, and release of some of these cats, I think our euthanization would actually be even higher. But the idea was that we have to get 23 of these animals out of there a day. And rescues don't work that way. Rescues luckily rescues try to
work. Just a quick comment.
Yep.
I'm a LAPS board member.
Yeah.
LAPS, on a shoestring budget with bowl-a-thons,
Yep.
we adopted out 30 dogs.
Yep.
So don't.
No, but what I'm saying is that I need it to happen a day.
They're
And-
spayed when they go
right.
out our door.
Right.
I'm with Veterans for Life, and we did, it just in 1 year, TNR.
Yep.
Local, 1,500 cats staying.
Yes.
Hey,
With no,
And we appreciate that, right? I mean, because it takes a village, right? For lack of a better way to say it. It takes a village. How many did, well, see, the hard part about the intake with animal control, it's a controllable factor, right? I mean, if they don't go out and pick up an animal, it's not been intake, right? Right, and that's the other side of the issue. Right. How many do we bring in a day? Offhanded.
Between 25 to 35.
25 to 35, depending, and certain times of the year are worse than others, right? Because of the new families.
Is that
Sir.
this lady's front yard, or is that from 311 phone calls?
I'd say it's from both. I'd say that they come in a lot of different ways.
Even community pickups dogs and things for the shelter.
Yeah, and there are some that are delivered, right, as well.
Can the shelter shut down, because we've heard people wanting to drop animals, and they
Well,
say that they're not.
We'll talk a little bit about
Right
that.
now,
So,
can they legally shut down, can they either refuse?
my understanding is that all shelters do that to a certain level because they can't jeopardize the animals that they have currently. So they could shut down. The problem is that, and it's just like if we don't take them, they're going to dump them, right? I mean, that's the problem we have with this thing, is that if we don't take them in when they're ready to deliver them, they'll find a different way and they'll dispose of them like an old mattress. And
But they've had vicious dogs where people have called because they've attacked other dogs, and they've been told they're not picking them up because they're at capacity.
right.
I mean, is it
And
gonna
I would
take a
argue that that's a
child?
different issue.
But is it gonna take a child to get mauled like it's happening in San Antonio, for them to finally start saying, okay, it's a vicious dog, let me go check it out?
Right. All right, only 35 more slides. No, so the whole idea is that it is a short-term holding facility more than anything else. It's not a zoo, right? We have to turn the animals over, and we have to do it faster in order to get out there. And so I will tell you that the frustrations that our rescues and our fosters feel right now, I will say it right now, I'm sorry. We're gonna do better. Because 70% of the animals that go out of the shelter are rescues and fosters. I wish we were having more adopting, but they're not. There's only about 30% of them that are adopting out. And so it is moving these animals out in those tranches and in those batches. Let's have her speak first.
I can stand
She hasn't said anything. She's been so kind.
Low. In the last 2 weeks, I have inquired about 4 dogs that I want to adopt because I had homes for them.
Okay.
And I was given this answer every single time that I called. I called from different numbers. I had friends call. They're not available. Well, have they been tagged? We can't tell you that. Well, have they been rescued? We can't tell you that.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to adopt a dog when you get that response?
I will tell you that we will be able to tell you that they are tagged. So I'm not sure why that breakdown there is. I know that there's a lot of different reasons. We're taking those out because somebody mentioned that was on our citizen committee as well too, that we used to post the intake, the outtake, the euthanization, everything.
Yes.
We will be posting that.
Yes.
I have those numbers, and I think I showed when there's an intake of 500 animals, cats and dogs, just 500, and I tally how those dogs and cats left, where they're euthanized, they went on transport, adopted, the numbers never add up. You're
Right.
always missing 50 dogs,
Yep.
40 dogs. What happens, I mean, is that just poor record keeping?
Yes.
And let me tell you, when you tell me that, I'm gonna tell you, poor communication
Yep.
is what's not getting those dogs on those transports.
Agreed.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the right people
So,
in the shelter, you're gonna have more
Yeah.
dogs being euthanized. And
That's
people
right.
like her
Right.
calling,
That's right.
and me
Exactly.
calling,
Yeah.
I wanna adopt, a rescue wants to tag, and those calls are not returned.
yeah. I will tell you though, and this is where we have really good people out there at the shelter. It is,
They just can't count.
well, but I will tell you, and so this last article that came out in the Laredo Morning Times, talking about however many animals were lost,
Yes,
Yes.
that's a report.
those are bad numbers.
Yes,
Yep.
because they're not
I mean,
using
and
the
you guys
expensive
saw it as
system
well
that
too.
we
I think
paid
the ones
for.
that had requested that information, it was a year-to-date number when the request was for just August. And so it skewed all the numbers. Staff has talked to me about that. Well, and all I can do is repeat what I've been told, and it makes sense for what happened.
If their staff is talking to you, then they should have told you what I said, or what my wife said when we adopted the dog. We picked up the dog from the streets maybe about 2 weeks ago, asking for assistance. The dog, we can see all the ribs, right? I mean, we picked it up and we were por las minas.
Yep.
So we called and asked about, hey, we need assistance. And they're like, well, technically it's your dog. I'm like, well, we're willing to foster it. What do we have to do? We gotta turn it in? Because we're willing to pick up the dog. We'll take responsibility. Hold on, I'm not done yet. Because I'm
I'm gonna let you
piggybacking.
finish.
I'm piggybacking and adopting
I'll let you
and
finish.
on staff. Again, no, I want to be on camera. I can't be on camera. As you can see. So, my question is, we ask for assistance when it comes to Spain, right? Y'all go by pound. Okay, I understand. She's probably weighing maybe 20 pounds. She's a pit bull.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. She's a pit bull. And honestly, I didn't wait for that dog. I went for another dog. Y'all told me it was gonna be like $500 just to spay her. Now I'm like, okay, so how can you assist me? Because again, I picked up this dog from the street. She probably has anxiety. She has trust issues. So we're barely getting that communication. My family, my other 2 dogs, and her. And she's a female, and I got 2 males. I got one that's already spayed. The other one, I'm still waiting for that one, but that one's he's probably about 60, 75 pounds. I don't even want to know how much they were going to charge me for that one because he charged me a pound. And over here, again, she's only maybe about, right now, she's probably weighing about 25, 30 pounds because I'm getting her back to health. If you're charging me 500, then go ahead and go get her spayed. Now, like, and that's where I asked for assistance. Okay, well, what do I have to do for the dog? Like, how can you give me a voucher? Whoa, go over here, Gonzalez, don't give me a $50 voucher. Okay, $50 voucher, but they're gonna charge me, you know, they're gonna charge me for the chip. They're gonna charge me for the immunization. What's the point of having that $50 if all that's kicking in? Now, they did tell me, surrender the dog. I'm like, well, I don't want to surrender the dog because the dog's already got accustomed to me and my wife, my family, my other two dogs. Why would I want to break that bond with that dog? Now, well, I'll take it with you, do some type of appointment or something like that, but I want to bring the dog back. No, since you're bringing the dog back, it's your dog. It's already your dog. I'm willing to foster it. This is coming from your staff. When I'm talking to the girl, I can hear some other girl in the background talking and telling me what to say. Yep.
That's right.
That's right. So, all right, again, this is
Now-
illustration. How could Mexico have it for $50 and over here we're like at 500?
Right.
And again, you mentioned what you said annual was like what, 1,200, 1,400 for a dog, right?
Yeah, for
more or
care,
less.
to feed and care for an animal.
More or less. That's what you're saying. But you see, for us, that's our kids.
Right.
I will help you.
You know, we
I will
don't.
help you out to spay your dog. I will help you. There you go.
I mean, I don't have to see. I
So
don't see as an adult. I thank you. I appreciate you helping me trying to spay a dog. That's not an issue. But you see, I see the other people, like my mother-in-law. You know, she's one of those, like picking up dogs, because she can't see them in the street. But if someone like her gets Social Security of maybe $500 a month, how can she pay $500 to stay?
Yep.
Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Is like, what are you trying to help us out? I mean, right now you have a tech running it. You don't even have a veteran running it. We already asked that question.
Right.
So how can a tech do all this while, how can you even function?
Well, we have relationships with the vets. APA had a vet out there.
Well, they told us that.
Well, no, she wasn't local, right? But no, and here's the challenge with the way the system is as well too. Those vouchers for spay and neuter are for the families that can't afford an animal at all, right? I mean, it is for expending that out. That's the challenge we have is that, and I believe that the hard part with the voucher program is I think anybody that shows up at a voucher event can get a voucher to help spay and neuter. But the idea is that, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I want to make sure I say it because that's what triggers the conversation. Why do the city taxpayers have to spay and neuter everybody's animal? Right?
The same reason we pay for salary.
No.
Exactly.
But what? I mean, yeah.
I mean,
Here's the thing. I have a rescue dog at my house. I have a rescue dog at my house. All right? And so I was required to go get it spayed and neutered. Now, the city ordinances require that the animals are spayed and neutered. I think you'd mentioned about it's the state law as well too. So what Laredo has is that, and this is the same way of where I came from as well too, is that it is the adopter's responsibility to get the animal spayed and neutered. It's the rescue's job to get it spayed and neutered. That's the way the law is written. I'm not championing anything other than that's the way the city code is written. We have these programs for the vouchers to offset that, but because it's all jumbled up, it doesn't work as well. And so that's why I think you get a bad answer when you ask those questions.
Is that merely a city code, not a state law?
And there is nothing in the state law that says that how it's taken care of.
Therefore,
It's
as
just
a
that
city
it has to be.
manager, we could bring that up and
Yes,
amend it.
yes, yeah, it is a city ordinance that says that it is the responsibility of the person taking the animal to do that. And I think the challenge we have is that, you know, all of the money adds up and it's really, where should this budget be, right? For what we're doing for the animals in the city.
So who evaluates the shelter? Who really takes responsibility and evaluates the different areas that they have? Who is in charge? Who's checking the check? Who is really out there
That's
evaluating the different issues? You know, so it will get out of control. Who's in charge? Who's in charge of evaluating the different issues and problems that we have? Who is not doing their job?
They're not
It will be me. It will be me. at the end of the day, I've got people to help me, but I want you to make me responsible.
One of the comments you made was, why should the taxpayer pay for spaying and neutering his dog? Well, we had money for that, and the majority of that went on transport. So why do I have to pay? Now, let me tell you, she's with Paws on Board, and when they're gonna spay and neuter, they have little raffles going on. And exactly, there you go. And so the other rescues should have to provide some of those services. Whatever the city and the taxpayers and whatever money you all get from grants and stuff should be allowed to stay in our community.
And I like that. And I agree. Because the idea is that we take care of our home first, right?
Yes.
We take care of our people first, and then we take care, if we have the ability of the luxury, we'll help outside. And I think those are that's a very good point. And you won't hear me disagree with it. We gotta build a better service for it. And just, that's why I'm here. I can take the punches, I can take the bruising, but I also want to leave you with that we are going to do things differently from here. All right? And some of it will be good, some of it will be bad.
Two things, please, sir. So, I know we're talking spay and neuter, and that's super important. But going back to those numbers that were released that are evidently wrong.
Wrong.
If that's an accurate statement that those numbers are wrong, it doesn't make a whole lot of common sense that that was year-to-date numbers and we were just looking at a month, because those seem to be monthly numbers. Nonetheless, is that not a fireable offense? That is a huge error. And that was an error that was put out and published upon a request that there probably was some type of checks and balances, if there's a standard operating procedures for personnel. When that public records information was requested, it was then released.
Right.
Was it the lowest of the clerks that released it? Or did it go through a checks and balance for releasability? Because in my prior job, nothing would have been released without verifying its validity. And if the numbers are right, my goodness, then we've lost dogs and cats every month. That's huge. An error of that magnitude seems to warrant some kind of repercussion. But it's this type of thing that I think we're seeing over and over that is leaving us wondering, but what does ever change?
Right.
We need that new direction.
Well, I mean, I started with that slide, 2017, right? I'm sure there were problems before, they may not have been as loud.
But the 2021 loudness of requesting,
2017.
that was part of it, but 2021 was about the director.
Right.
Is that the same director?
Yes.
So what happened? Was there training, education?
However.
Oh, well, sir, okay, you weren't here.
No,
but you
let
are now.
me tell you, and this is the hard part of the one part, is that the employees are my responsibility. I'm not going to talk about where they're at in any type of process to do better or do worse or anything else.
I'm not asking about disciplinary actions per person. I'm wondering, does anything happen? In 2021, the community was displeased. 2023, the community is still displeased. Has anything changed in between, or did some people get tired of fighting and then start fighting again?
Yeah, and I don't say, I'm not casting and saying I wasn't here. What I'm telling you is that I could not influence it because I was not here. This document and well, if we got to my slide there, we are doing standard operating procedures as well too. I mean, they will be all written out. The problem with managing people, right? The problem with managing people is that you have to tell them what they have to do, right? That's why we have a job description. That's why we have all that. We don't have, in 2017 is when I believe Laredo, after that there took over the shelter. It was managed outside, from an outside individual at that time. So that's when the city said, we'll take it over. And then,
That was last.
right?
That was last.
Okay.
Right
It didn't
there.
want to be a kill
Okay,
shelter
all right,
anymore.
all right.
So the city
So,
was
so they
just
went to the
too
city and the city
relaxed
said,
doing
we
their
can,
work.
yeah, we can do it, and that's what happened. But we never developed out any standards, I don't even know if we had your standards to go off of for the operation. Okay, all right. So, we didn't, we operated the shelter by shooting from the hip,
Well,
That's
uh,
scary.
is what it feels like, it is scary.
It was 2012 when the divorce, and then in 2016 is when the health department separated from the, and the,
And when it got set up as a separate department
yes,
on its
because
own.
we were trying to get the TNR going, and I could not because it's under the
All
health
right.
department.
I have a hand up here that hasn't spoken.
Good evening. So obviously this is a problem that's been festering for many years. And I think that some people in the community also say that we as a community also have a responsibility to be, you know, responsible pet owners. However, you know, if this sort of inefficiency and what seems to be gross mismanagement at the cost of the lives of innocent animals, if this situation were to be happening in any of your other departments, what would you do? Would that be allowed to continue? And this has been, you know, under the same directorship for years. Yes, this is probably a complex issue that is going to require many levels and layers of doing things differently, and as you say, it's gonna require a lot more conversations, but maybe we can start with the obvious things.
Yes, exactly.
My response to that, not an argument, not a debate, is that it takes all of us, right? I can't have you keep putting it on the back of one person.
But when that person's
No,
not doing
and
his
it is,
job,
and it's like,
it's hard for us.
yes, yeah, and
And
that.
we're not getting paid.
And the way the structure is built, and it's on my slide, by the way, when I laid out the structure, I'll talk about the charter and I'll talk about that responsibility that a director has on that. But I will also say, things are moving, they just move at the speed of slow, right?
Who has,
We'll cover that as well too.
who has the oversight above her then?
Well, and I will tell you, personally right now, right? Mr. Chief Landine is responsible for animal care. So we have Mr. Gonzalez out there, directly out there as the operations. And Mr. Landine, he's actually been out there a couple days already. And so he will be responsible for that underneath my responsibility.
Chasing the dog.
So,
Just collecting the
The
money.
thing is, the other ones we don't forget. 2021, we saw the photos being circulated of the animal abuse and everything. And about Karina, it looks really, really bad that she's taking a month off leave and
Yeah.
posting on social media of her being
On
on vacation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the hard
Well,
part,
the thing is, sorry, she should be right next to you. She
Right.
should be standing right next to you, and you should be taking all the punches. She should be.
the hard part
There should be a
is
partnership.
that she's not here, she can't defend herself.
But that's her
And I, again, at the end of the day, and that's where, is it my next slide? No, not yet.
Don't worry.
It is.
You're way
Oh, I'm gonna go as fast as I can, because I want to make sure this is available to you, but it is, it's like,
The stress, the pressure, she can't
I-
answer questions.
and that's, see, the thing is that I'm not gonna put, I will carry the weight of that. I've been working for 6 months on this. After you and I talked, I had asked, I said, give me time to get the pieces in place, because I needed to, one, assess where's everything at, right? Where are the rules? Where are the policies? Where are the ordinances? I had New Mexico law stuck in my head. What does Texas law say about
Some
animal
of that
control?
is common sense. You
Right.
don't have a dog in all
Yeah,
of
no,
this.
those are the
That's
other
common
pieces as well too.
sense.
That's right.
And let me tell you, in 2021, Cristina Hale conducted an investigation and claimed that those pictures were not from there. A lot of these people were there. And I just
They
did an
are
open
from there.
record to ask, where is this report? Where is this investigation?
Not on file. Then I asked, what certifications has Karina Elizondo? None. Nothing on file.
Zero.
Denied.
No supervisory experience.
No supervisory experience.
I don't have a good answer for that one. Well, here's the thing. Open records request, we have to respond if we have a record associated with the way the question is asked.
It's right there.
Right, no, I know, but.
Do you remember what I told you about my open records and it took 2 months?
Yep.
And I had to get somebody from Austin to get these people and poke them on the ribs and they sent it to me the very next day?
Chief Landine helped with that. as well, too.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
So, and because we want to, and that's on my slides as well too, is that we will respond in the appropriate time frame, or we will inform you, because the worst part about it was,
Nobody informed me.
if we would have informed you that it was a burdensome request, then we could have said, this is how long it's going to take. That's the way the open records law
You
works.
had a conversation with Elizondo, he had a conversation with Elizondo,
So-
and she still would not provide those records until I called us.
Exactly, exactly.
Come back to the bigger problem with me.
It is, she is the bigger problem. That's the big
What you're, well, it is because you're all mad at.
No, we're not mad. I have been
Let-
at the shelter 3 years,
Yep.
helping her, working
Yep.
with her. She comes to me, Mary, I need help with this, Maisa, I need help with that. We give her suggestions, does not want to hear it. Do you know that I had to go look for a rescue for the horses that you had? I had to look for the rescue. I got those dogs out of Laredo, those horses out of Laredo. Because she couldn't do it. Could she runs rescues
If you
away?
want to keep talking about the director, I can't help. All right? Because I'm not going to talk about any level of my employees as to where they're at in any state of conversation. Please don't make me do that.
That's an HR issue.
It is an HR issue, and every employee deserves due process. Due process.
She's never at the office, can never take a meeting.
That's all I've got on that one.
Complain after
Please let me go
complain
back.
after complain about her, so.
Let me go back to this, because every employee, I truly believe every employee deserves due process.
That was 5 years ago.
But how many complaints is it gonna take?
It's not the complaints, it's what you do with the complaints as to how to fix whatever the behavior is that you're trying to fix. It's a management thing.
In the 3 years, nothing.
I'm not,
You are, due process, let's get it
Okay, help
checked.
us understand what the next fix is, so we can see.
let me
not
go
the
broader
first.
with this, all right? We have a council of 8 and a mayor elected, right? We have 2,600 people in town. If I got rid of everybody that somebody has a problem with, I have nobody. And this is the conversation. The reason for the due process is that we correct the issues that are not right. Now, I've only been here since February, right? I can't fix 10 years ago. I can't fix 5 years ago. I can't fix 2 years ago. I can be held responsible for the last 8 months.
So what happens when you have an individual and that person is just not a good fit for that job? Are we gonna continue to try and fix that?
That's why she has to be evaluated and move
What
on.
we care about, that's the big
Yep.
difference. That here, the other departments, okay, they're not happy, we understand that. The difference here is that dogs are dying when they don't have to die.
Exactly.
That's the difference, and that's why we're so
I don't know if everybody's aware of the rule or the record, right? If an animal is put down or slated for being put down for euthanization, it takes 3 voices to put an animal down. It takes the attending officer, it takes the department head, and it takes the veterinary. She's not putting the animal down.
We don't have a vet.
we understand that some dogs have to be euthanized, we all
Right.
understand that. But there's dogs that can be saved, and emails are not answered, calls are not,
Yep.
so we really wanna know, and I think we cannot, why she's doing such a bad job, why do you all
Managing her
keep her
people.
there?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
why, she's getting paid, what is it,
She's not qualified.
There's
like,
nobody
what do
to
you-
qualify
that's
her.
what we wanna know, besides your slide, we wanna know why.
I
Like,
wanna,
you see so many problems.
I wanna know why dogs are euthanized, and then 3 days later, they're vaccinated. How does that relate? And I showed you that. I showed you that. Excuse me. How does that happen?
Somebody's fighting really hard.
So,
My dog died.
let me ask, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I would just like to say something, and I said it the last city council meeting that I attended. In order for you to be a director of the animal shelter of the city at almost 300,000, you have to be highly qualified. And not only that, you have to have the empathy and compassion that it needs for you to be a true advocate of those voiceless, helpless animals. We are not mad at a certain person. We just think that she may be the wrong person to direct the city animal shelter. That is it. That is it. We are not mad at her. We just think that she's not the proper person. That's it.
Somebody that Hinojosa, that stepped in for Karina when she was on maternity leave, that lady was excellent. Right on it, very professional, answered your questions, and not because I was asking questions, anybody else that was asking questions.
Hey, Mary, that lady.
It's Hinojosa.
Yes, I spoke to her, I asked her how come there was no record of my chips, of all my dogs that were registered, she couldn't answer. While she was there, that dog that I'm telling, there was 2 healers. One of them was going to Germany, and that dog was put down, and that dog already had a transport. The other dog that was put down and then vaccinated, that lady that was getting that dog paid for her transport twice. That lady came from community development.
But
she has no
very
idea.
professional.
She doesn't even, she may be professional, but what is good if she didn't know it, she didn't even own a dog.
Well, she hadn't been there that long.
Exactly.
So,
That's the wrong
But she
fit.
was very
That was the wrong
You
fit.
came from outside of the
Let-
community to do the
All
job.
right.
Why not?
Well, here's the thing, did you know, and I don't know if anybody's aware of this or not, and some of you may be aware of it, but we actually had a rescue individual reach over somebody's fence and take a dog out of a backyard and then try to claim it after the city
That
got hold of it.
happens all the time.
I know, and that's wrong, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, let's figure out, let's fix the problem. So, here's the thing. Here's the thing is that I would love to hire a vet. I would love to hire one.
A city
All right.
with our
You got one right there, huh?
population.
All right. Okay.
You're hired, that's one right there.
Oh, I was gonna say, here, take this, please. All right, but here's, I'm gonna run very quickly through some of this, and so please bear with me, because some of this will answer some of those questions, but here's the thing. All right, and we talked about this. This is the number of animals, 8,500 go in and out of the shelter. At that rate, we have to get 23 animals out of there a day. The shelter is over capacity, and my fear is, because I've been through a case of bad parvo, where we put every animal down in that facility because we couldn't get it fixed.
We've done.
Yep,
we've done.
and that's sad when that happens. And part of that is because we have an overcrowded facility with everything that's out there. My city manager directive, and this happened before APA left, I asked everybody to get that facility under capacity by November 1st. And I gave them 60 days to get it done. And of course, you know, the first thing in everybody's mind is, we're gonna put down that many animals? No, I gave you 60 days because I want you to go talk to the rescues, find a way to get this number down there. Just so you know, later on in these slides, after talking with staff that's out there right now, currently as of yesterday, we said we're gonna get it under capacity in 6 months. And if we do it under 6 months, that means we just have to get one more animal a day out of there and we'll get down under capacity. I want 90% capacity because we go out and pick up these families. And they overwhelm the system. That's why the number is 25 to 35 a day. If we go pick up a family that has a litter or something, it jacks the numbers up fairly quickly. Now, the nice thing is you can store the family together in one enclosure. That's the good part of it. So it's not really just the number of animals, it is the number of enclosures and why they're together. So,
But again, if you get that number of animals out and they're not spayed and neutered, you're gonna get triple the number back in.
That's just where
They
we're.
cannot go out being unfixed. They cannot.
so is the, well, how do they get out? Because if 70% of the animals are going to rescues, how are they getting back out? With, because the rescue, yeah. All right. City charter. This is the responsibility. This is what the people voted for the city manager. When they went away from the mayor council form, they went to a council manager form. This is the city manager's responsibility. You can see shall appoint, best interest of the city, suspend, reassign, or terminate all department directors. Shall direct and supervise the administrative department. This is why I'm saying, focus on me. Let me do this. Let me take care of this. If the director, if any director, let's just say it that way, if any director cannot do their job properly, we will make the adjustments necessary. What I'm saying is, give me the time to work with everybody. And that's the process that we have to walk.
You need to work with HR to resolve the issues together, you know,
Yes,
with
yeah,
HR.
yeah, and
You cannot do it
look at
alone. You
this.
need
What
to
I would
work
hope
with
is that anybody that is, let's talk about employees in general, right? And you mentioned it a little bit, it just gets twisted with what the hope is. What we want is somebody that focuses on their job. We want them to be aware that they want to do the best job possible, right? They want to do it right. They want to be of value to the city, and I will tell you that most of the staff out there, if not all of them, are that way. My job is to help them reach that level as well too. The city council's job is to help them understand what's important to the city council.
Sir.
So that's where it's at, yes.
Is it fair to say, though, that while you just got here in February, there are some records, there is a history there, and that while you coming in, every new manager, every new director wants to be the one to fix problems, that you realize you're not starting with a new problem, with a brand new performance and improvement plan with 6 months on a get better plan, that you're already starting with something that's been addressed.
Correct.
I'll address it this way. I am the 8th city manager in 8 years.
So your longevity.
Well, it's not where I told you you were going to go. No, but the nature is that I will tell you that because of all those different personalities, all those different ways of tackling an issue, the records out of the city manager's office are not as complete as they should be.
I can understand that, but can you understand the community
Yes, I can.
saying,
Yeah.
but you're not the first one
Right.
to hear this issue, so please don't start a brand new
No.
performance improvement plan and make us wait that out to see if there's any improvement.
No, well, and that's why, and Mary and I talked, and she said, you know, I was hoping to see something in 3 months. It took a little longer, but this document is that first step. Because in my mind, it's just like a job description and everything else. This is how we're going to operate. And if we don't operate that way, now I can go and make the adjustments that are necessary as well too.
Disciplinary action.
We are working on that. I am working with our director to do it better. And yes, sir.
I was wondering, why don't you do a program where you can help people, that are in maybe prison or in that situation, like Villalobos, do something like that, you know, to help the dogs.
We're happy to do that. We do, I think, one of the pieces that I was going, that I will share, and I'll get to that, because it's very important for that, is that we want to rebuild the volunteer base that we had as well too. We need help, right? It's the village lifts everything. We utilize right now community service. So people that are trying to get their jobs done, you know, when they're in a little bit of trouble, we do allow for those in there. So in my mind, I think we can allow for the volunteers. I think we can allow for those that are trying to re-enter, right? Re-enter the society and everything. I think we can do that.
There was a large base of volunteers people, and I was one
Oh,
of
yeah.
them. And you know what happened? You want me to tell you what happened, or can you guess?
Oh, I can guess.
There you go. She ran people away.
Yeah.
With her attitude.
Yep.
And she ran people away. Just the way, and you know what? She never even applied for the job. There was other people. No, if you have a job, open it up to people.
Right.
Get the better qualified. Don't bring all this political
Yes.
For those of you that are involved or pay attention to politics, right, or the governmental stuff, you saw what happened with the police chief selection. And now we've got a good police chief.
And we
Chief
got
Rodriguez
trouble.
is doing a great job. But he wasn't the first name I put out there.
Yeah, you put out Harvey.
Yep.
And then got arrested.
Yep. So he knows both sides of the business.
So then he and you could be making another mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah. By
Yep.
by not, you know what, these people have been there. We've been there for 3 years. You think we're not reinventing the wheel here?
No.
We've been saying spay and neuter, get
Yeah.
those dogs out. get those dogs out.
All I'm saying is that I'm the new variable in the mix.
But you've already made a mistake, so you could make another one.
You already got the wrong
No big deal.
I
But the second is
get
still
told
involved.
because Chief Rodriguez was not the first choice that I made for any position. I've made a few of them. I think some people in the office say that I'm about 50-50 right now, right? No, but it is, it's like, and you make it based upon the best information. And who knows what would have happened if it would have went differently or anything else. What I was trying to say there though is that, you know, we make that best chance. I will work with every one of our employees and I will try to make them understand what their responsibilities are. What I'm hoping that you understand is that animal care services is important to me. That's what I want to make sure you understand. That's the only reason I'm standing up here in front of everybody as well too. I want you to understand it because
When you go back 2 slides, you're standing up here because it's your job.
It is. That's one slide. Well, every department's my job, right?
So nobody else would be standing up here but you.
Well, I could have handed it off to Chief Landine.
Get up, Landine.
Let's see your point of
Now
view.
you're making it tough on me on purpose,
Just
aren't you?
waiting
Yes,
for
sir.
the check.
Animal care service is important to you, and that's fine, but it has to be important to the director of that
I
department.
agree.
And she is not here.
And it should be important to every employee we have out there. You know, the hard part, and this is the rumor mill stuff, right? I was always told that if you wanted to get rid of somebody, put them out of animal control. So I am so thankful for those people that are willing to go do that job every day.
But the APOs are not the problem.
Right.
Oh, some of them are.
They stop
All right.
Some of them are. You've got good employees and
Yes.
bad employees everywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you a question. Do the people that pick up all the strays, do they work on Saturday or Sunday?
Yes, they do.
At
I've
what
got
hours?
the nodding on a couple of them back
Because
there.
I've seen them at night at 8:30, 9, and they're not working. I know where they park. I can take a picture. And they're just there. They don't even move the truck. They park in a certain restaurant that's abandoned. I've seen them.
There you go.
And they're getting paid with my tax money.
Who's checking the check or?
All my pets are strays.
They haven't picked up my
What's that?
strays.
All my pets are strays.
Yep.
And I've picked them up off the streets, and I've helped them.
Next time I see them, I'll take a picture.
Yeah, take a picture.
Okay.
I know where they park.
All right, thank you. All right. This is where the council gets involved. They establish the ordinances that we will operate by. I don't have every one of those sections up there because I knew we would digress a little bit. I just didn't know how far. And so just bear with me, but you can find this online. It is chapter 6, animals and fowls. I did leave up there some of the important pieces. Section 6.2 says there will be an animal care service department of the city of Laredo. Right? So we're entitled to go and do this job. Doesn't tell me how. Look how long that sentence is, right? We have to determine exactly how we're going to operate them. Here's the Director of Animal Care Services. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 responsibilities by code, city code, that the director has to do. And to perform the duties of a director, to supervise the employees, to supervise the operation of the pound, or to consult and provide direct supervision. Just so you know, really quickly, I heard at least there's a definition difference between pound and shelter and holding facilities. The code uses all, I think all three of them at some point in time. They're all interchangeable for the sake of the code. If we have a holding facility for any length of time, it becomes a shelter, right? Same thing with a pound is actually still a shelter. I would say that the pound's more associated with getting people's animals back to them, not really the whole rescue part for getting animals out. But, okay. To ensure appropriate records are kept on each animal. To enforce the provisions of this chapter, that's a catch-all, to execute such other duties as a city manager may delegate, and to develop and administer a trap, neuter, and return program. Now, and I put this up there because I want to make sure you guys understand what the trap, neuter, and release program is and how we've been operating, because they're different. And that's why I want to make sure that we fix some of that stuff, because I would like to operate it correctly. And I know it's not going to go well with you guys because I've already heard enough of what some of those concerns are. But I want to make sure you understand that we just have to change the law of how we do it if we're going to do it that way. All right, state law. State law is the designation of the local authority. The animal control and safety ordinance, that's what this used to be. It was underneath health department when they enacted this piece. Now it is a self-sustaining department. The director of the Animal Care Service Department is designated as the Animal Control Authority and the local rabies control authority for the city. So that's their responsibility, and they would hire qualified veterinaries in order to help with all that zoonosis control and everything. So, all right. I put this in there, section 6.7, because it's the management of small animals and fowl not redeemed. I'm going to talk, this is one of the main things I wanted to talk about is that if I can get the animals out of there faster, then I can get them on their way and we don't have to euthanize. I don't want to call the facility kill or no kill. I want to get as many adopted as possible out of there. But if I say it's a no kill facility and we put one animal down, somebody's going to say you lied to me. And so I'm not going to do that. What I'm telling everybody, though, is that if we can get the animals out of there, then we're good. So animals that get in there that are not redeemed after 3 business days become the city's animals, right? I mean, so on the 4th day, and so you'll see that in some of this information. The 4th day, that animal is available for adoption. That animal is ready for rescues and everything at that point in time. I want to make sure I go down there. They have to check for the microchip, and I think we have, we're planning on doing, I think, 2 inspections of the chip, because chips move, if you don't know that. And so if they do a quick scan across the back where they're supposed to be, they may not be there. It could have slipped under the skin.
My dogs are chipped, and they could find the chip, they just couldn't find the record.
Well, and that happens, and the other thing that happens is that when animals trade owners, if they don't update the registration, it goes back the wrong way too, right? I know, I don't have to. All right, so, and then this is the hard part, is that the director, the agents, the employees have the authority to euthanize after that 4th day. And that's why I want to make sure it is very important that we get the animals out of there. I think there's animals out of there And I mentioned about, we don't want a zoo, right? But I think there's animals that's been out there long enough, we might as well call it a zoo and charge everybody to go back and look at it. Yeah, because it's, all right, abandoning and dumping. It's unlawful for people to abandon and dump. How do we enforce it?
You don't.
I mean, because I'll guarantee you they're not dumping in front of a car, a squad car and something,
They're
right?
dumping them at laps.
Yep.
because they only take
And they will. The ones that actually still care, right?
They take them in.
Yep.
But it, again, we
Yep.
go back to the fact, you're relying on rescue groups to
Yep.
take animals
So-
out. The other ones that get adopted out have to be spayed and neutered before they leave that facility.
Yep. So here's the other thing, is that the community cat caregivers, this is where I start talking about community cat. The community cats, this is the, there's a section in here on cat collars. That's the trap, neuter, and release. Now, the challenge is, and I went back and looked at all the ones that, I think it was, Alley Cats, is a rescue organization or an organization for cats. And they talked about all these different cities that are doing great trap and neuter and release. And so it all ties back to the cat colonies. All right, here's section 6.2, 12, own, maintain any livestock or small animals, except in compliance with the chapter. So we have these regulations of that. There's hard parts in here. We can go in and inspect anybody's house that has an animal. Isn't that, I don't think we've ever inspected a rescue, a foster, or anybody, but that ability is there in the city code. We don't do it. And maybe we should to a certain point, right? But
Their phone number is in the
Yep.
paper. Their cell
all right.
number.
Abandonment of conditional on premises when not in there. So if we find that the house is, they're not taking care of the pets, we have the ability to close them down, take them. So those are all good points as well. Keeping is restricted. So this one here talks about it's unlawful, a nuisance and a public health threat to feed or harbor wild and feral animals except community cats in residential areas. So again, this language is added into the code for that cat colony or that trap, neuter, and release information. This is the section that lays out the cat colony permit. So when I think you all were involved in establishing the trap, neuter, and release process, this is what the city did in order to establish it. The challenge we have, and this is the pieces, and I'm going to see if I can find it up on here. This does not say that it's the city's responsibility to spay and neuter the colony cats. It says that whoever is going to be the caregiver is supposed to spay and neuter. And so with the whole conversation that we just had on this gentleman that had the stray, and just asking for help, those are the hard things of that. If somebody wants to run a cat colony in town, it's not, the city didn't really set up its own cat colony. However, we've been ear tipping and spay and neutering the animals that we have, but we're not doing enough. And I'd say between the two of us, we're still not doing
I
enough.
don't think the city is doing any.
I'm not gonna put my other employees up on that, but, okay. So all the way through there, and then we have the ability that we can acquire any animal, even if it's a cat colony animal, for the health and safety of the city, because that's that primary, I talked about that. All right.
Sir,
Yes.
what happened to the city's budgeted dollars?
What happened to the city's budgeted dollars that were set aside over the last, I think, 3 years? 2 years?
Yes.
For the spay and neuter program that were not used, because there was.
They were not transport.
I think they spayed and neutered, but I think what they did is they spayed and neutered other animals.
They were supposed to be community programs, so are you saying that they
Yeah.
were utilized at the shelter and not at the community?
And, well, no, I'm not sure of that question, but I do know, I'd say most of those monies were spent on spay and neutering. It's how the spay and neutering was done.
Spay and neutering for pets that were, for animals that were then
Right.
sent out.
I beg to differ.
Because I don't, I mean, I'll have to look at the budget or
I think
something.
Mary's
but-
got
The
some.
director told me she had residual money from 2 years ago that had not been used
All right.
because she couldn't get a vet to do it.
And sometimes that's true and sometimes that's wrong, because every once in a while, the city sweeps that money back in and it goes back out. That's the thing, is that if you don't spend the money, it doesn't automatically stay there. It could be swept back in and back out for another
One
time.
year money, 2 year money, what kind of dollars are they?
What's that?
1
I
year
don't-
dollars, 2 year dollars?
I believe, based upon some of the estimates that I was looking at, we were spending about $250,000 a year on spay and neutering of something.
But what is our budget? Is it
Oh,
a
4
one-
million.
1 year dollars, if you don't use it that year?
Oh, no,
no.
there are, well, there, in the code, there are certain monies that are generated based upon the adoptions and everything that remain with the department. So there is a checking account essentially with the extra money. If it is the subsidized dollars from the general fund that go in there, which is the majority of that budget, that, depending on the need of the city, could come back out. So, all right. I wanted to share this one, because what have we been doing and what has been happening? Here's some of the stuff that's been going on. You're aware of some of these. We went out there and Miss Elsa, when she was out there taking over the reins for that while, we went out and we did what's called a risk inspection on the facility. We went out and inspected all the buildings, all the safety issues, all the building issues. And I will tell you that, you know, the ones that I'm really aware of that worried me was the 2 trailers that we keep the cats in. The floors were unsafe. There were plugs that were missing. There were issues with those buildings. And so really, what Risk asked for was to shut both of those buildings down. And again, it's like, no, let's change our procedures. Let's keep the cats going so that maybe we can get them out of there. Right? Because if we shut the building down, I get one of 2 choices. We either have to have a mass leaving, or I get to put some animals down. So the risk inspection on the facility, they're still doing work on those buildings, even now. The APA report, you know, and we've heard all different kinds of things. I think APA struggled only on one side, that they were doing veterinary services, but they had this advocacy side of them as well too. The contract was written that it was predominantly veterinary services, but it was asking that this report was meant to generate additional live outcomes of animals. That was the intent of it. And I think that was why it took them 6 months to do the report, and they couldn't understand why after 30 days we hadn't implemented everything they asked for. That was the conversation we were having. My thing is that some of it will take employee training. Some of it will take changes in some of those processes. They weren't as easy as everybody wanted to make it look. Because what we wanted to do, managed intake, you all know about managed intake, is that we only take in the ones that we have no other choice for, right? We talk to the owner and say, are you sure you want to give up your animal? Is there any other choices that you have? There's an empathy there that we have to walk through with the managed intake that says, let's help them find a better way of what to do with the animal.
That position was rejected by the director. APA hired a person to do exactly that at the front office, and the director rejected that. She did not allow that to be implemented.
Well, and that's the challenge we had, is that in my mind, I think you have to train employees differently for that work. So I'm glad that they had somebody, right? Because
They don't.
They don't.
APA.
APA hired that person.
All right.
After tried to put somebody there, the director said no thank you.
Right.
Exactly.
That's no cost to the city.
At no cost to you.
Well, you're making me digress again. I had heard that we had over $500,000 generated from APA for our facility. That money didn't go to the facility.
No, it was in form of staff members that were added to the facility at no cost.
And they never
to
explained
you.
that. They never explained that, at least not to me.
They had it all over the paper.
Right. So,
Let me ask you a question.
all right.
How come when they neuter my cats, they neuter them in Zapata? Why?
That is, the animals in Zapata were, taken care of in partnership with Webb County. It wasn't the city doing it, it was APA, which APA has the right, they're just a contracted service for us. It wasn't an absolute, we weren't a sole, so they could go out there and do this for that, and they worked with the county to get that done. And then we actually ended up partnering with that as well too. So, we're at 7:41. All right. Really quickly, we had a state inspection done as well too. The facility is required to be inspected by a veterinary, a qualified vet, once a year.
Which was who?
Lying
No.
So, but we are required to inspect once a year.
Can you get a different vet other than Linebacker? She's
My
partial.
request, and I'm not sure where it's at, was to get a second opinion.
Good,
with
thank
it,
you.
Right?
Thank you.
Because again, I don't like talking bad about anybody, just so you know, I can work with everybody. What I wanted was, because of the relationship that had been there, I wanted a more independent look at it.
So why even
And
go
even
for
take the relationship
Well,
away because
it's
of
not
the
my call.
appearance.
I wasn't even aware we were doing it in
Was
this
it a
space.
city council call?
No,
But who made the call to get Linebacker in there? The director? Well,
See, I'm learning a new way, right? All right.
When does that inspection occur?
The director.
Well, I was hoping it was already done, but situations have altered. So I have to now get an update on it.
At the very least, if there is not a bias, there is an appearance of impartiality.
See, and you're making me digress again. There are not a lot of real conflicts of interest. It's the perception that is more dangerous because.
And that's
I know.
easily overcomeable
Yep.
by bringing in somebody else.
Yes.
Let me keep going here. All right. I also have a best friends inspection. So best friends offered to come out and check, and they did, and they provided their recommendation.
And a
Since
list of
this one-
resources to help with those recommendations.
Since this one, since I put this presentation together, as of, I think today, we ended up receiving from a Dr. Hudson out of TAMU, another opinion as to our recommendations, not opinions, recommendations.
Dr. Hudson heads a 501 rescue.
Yeah. So we have all this information, all the, what I call foundational reports. If we're gonna have a service, and this is the thing that I talked about with city council, if we're gonna have a service, we're gonna do it right, we're gonna do it well, right? Because, I mean, I'm taking all your money in order to pay for these services. We should be doing the best job possible. There are certain things that we can't do, but we do everything that we can and we do it well. Yes, sir?
So now that you're talking about our money, you all have $500,000 worth of help from APA. Director gets them out, and now we have to foot the $250,000 bill for the new vet to come in? Is that what I'm
The
understanding?
relationship with APA was $250,000 for the year.
Yeah.
The city paid APA to be there.
Yes.
The $500,000 was what APA said they were able to bring in from all different other sources to assist. And I think with what Mary was saying over there is that it was predominantly for the additional 5, I think, right?
5 or 6
5 or
staff
6
members, a
people.
couple of vet techs.
So, okay.
But the APA contract ended early, correct?
Yes.
So it was not fully funded.
Right, so there is some monies that are left over from that, and that's where, we are not required to have a vet on staff by law, but we have to have the availability of a vet to do the vet work. We can't do that work, right? So the idea is that we have a lot of different veterinaries in town. If in an emergency basis, we can just we can pay, essentially it's market rate, right? I mean, we can go out and take care of that business through market rate, but when we have them on staff, or when we have them built like we had with APA, the agreement, we get a discount on all those services that they're providing based upon how they're done.
So if you're not required to have a vet on staff, why was Linebacker on staff?
My,
And prior to
well,
that, there was a Rodriguez
yeah,
on staff.
my understanding is that the city has had somebody on retainer for a long time. You're not required to by law. That's all I'm saying, is that, and so as we.
Somewhere in the budget, that should be a
And
priority.
we don't see that.
Well, yeah, yeah. I will tell you that I've tried to hire vets before, and they're doing the job for the city. It's very hard to find them. Maybe we can find the young ones that are just cutting their teeth, but it's very hard to find one that doesn't want to do their practice as well. And so I've not had good success with that. All right, departmental work, development of the written standard operating procedures. You know, and this might be just because I'm new, but I always like to see, why do we do X? And so I want to see why we do it, and what it's for, and then what did it accomplish. And so I think that was something that, whatever the standard operating procedure is, so how do I train my people to go do X? How do I get them to go do Y? When do they go and take their nap underneath the bridge? Hopefully not in our truck anymore. Yes, sir.
Why don't we work with animals? You know, why don't we get along with animals and then, you know, teach them how to be, you know, with people.
Yeah.
So they can be adopted out more.
Sure.
So it could be more acceptable to being adopted.
And that was in one of the reports about talking about how to do that. Dr. Hudson's recommendations was the emotional stress that is placed on an animal when you put them into an enclosure.
And sir, it took me a year to get the director to allow the National Guard volunteers to come walk dogs and interact with them. She wouldn't allow it.
Have you been by the shelter?
They're coming in, because I volunteer off and on.
Haven't been
They were there
No,
about
no,
a
just
month
on
ago.
the outside.
Yes, but it took me a
These
year
bright lights
to
on
get
the-
her to
on the
accept.
animals,
Oh.
they're like Christmas before. And I've told her many times, pipe in some music, relaxing music, turn the lights low. No,
All right.
That's not gonna help because you've got these cargo planes at, you know, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I live miles from the airport and they're thundering and they're right next to the airport.
so even when good suggestions are given to decompress the animals, they're not taken. You know, we, half these people, all these people in here, we have more experience, aside from you. We have in dealing with dogs and cats. And I'm gonna say it, the director. And when do you stop trying to work with a certain employee and say, hey, you know what, you're not fit for this. I've already tried. We've tried for 3 years, maybe not you, but we've tried for 3 years and nothing's sinking in. Maybe we need to send you, I don't know.
Maybe we need a new director, HR director, that's really not doing the job.
Yep.
Monitoring
There
the
you
people.
Everybody.
No, I had to go back there, didn't you? All right. Standards for the Laredo Animal Shelter section. So there's 11 sections in this book.
I have a question.
Yep.
You know, we all keep going back to the PowerPoint, but it's like the volunteers are already telling you what we need, what they see from their own eyes. And it's like, you're just, okay, let's move on to the next slide. But we need to know what are the results, how can we move forward. It's not just about wasting our time and going over the next PowerPoint. Like, I understand, you know, what you're saying, but it's like we need to move forward. We can't keep going, okay, next PowerPoint. Like, maybe it's, you know, sitting with the director saying, you know, okay, I understand, you know, it's between you and her. It's a leadership. Okay, you already know something's wrong. This is what I expect from you. You know, this is not what you're doing. We need to move on. And I understand you're new, but it's like, okay, for me, I'm 24. Everyone my age, they want to leave Laredo, and I think that's the worst part about it. And you're saying, There's already been 8 people. Like, do we want a 9th? No. Like, be the change that we need. Laredo needs to change.
And I don't mean to short circuit what it was. Everything that you guys are talking about, one, I hear it. Council members that are here hear it. My staff hear it, right? Some of the things I need to go back and then walk through exactly what it is, because some of the conversations that we're having, I'm not fully prepared to have that full conversation. And I don't want to waste your time either and say, and you know, and I think what Mary's trying to figure out about me as well too is he just mouth service or is he going to follow through? That's the nature of it, right? So I want to be careful about over-promising as well too. But what I want to make sure I leave you guys with, and that's why I want to show you the background, because these are the foundational pieces of where we're headed. I want to see volunteers out there. The problem with volunteers, and this gets into the city governmental thing, right? The red tape, is that if a volunteer gets hurt, the city becomes liable. A volunteer is not always trained to do that, but we can train a volunteer. That's the part, and we don't want them to.
A lot of cities have
Right. Yeah.
So we have
It really depends on that. It really depends on the legal fortitude, for lack of better.
They have a waiver.
So in my mind, I've always found that volunteers are a good way to help offset that. Now, the problem for volunteers and Fair Labor Standards is that you can't utilize a volunteer to do a full-time job. So the idea is that volunteers are icing on the cake. They're the ones that help you do something more than what you ever did. But you can get in trouble for the other side of that. So these are all the standards within there. I'm not gonna read it. I actually have, all the slides are based upon that standard. Yes, sir.
Why not have parolees or somebody that's on
Inmates.
inmates?
They're picking up trash, why can't they go
Yeah,
and
why
clean up?
can't they help out the dogs?
And that's a win-win for the city, you know. We're helping them and we're also showing, you know, it doesn't just have to be inmates, you know, people who get tickets,
And it helps
who
them
need
come
community
back.
service.
Well, and I won't even talk about it with being with the inmates or anybody else. The problem is that we don't have a volunteer program out there that has all the pieces. It's never been built.
We should build it.
We could build it, yes, we can build one. I won't build it tonight. So, but yes, and your points are valid in that. Your points are valid in that conversation. We have to build it a certain way in order to meet all those expectations and all those.
Our frustration is
Yes.
that nonprofits are doing this already, and the city can't do it.
Yep, I'm good, just so you know, I am good with the frustration. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make light of it, but the thing is, I enjoy what I do as well too, and so it has nothing to do with anything other than, I laugh at myself more often. You know, the one that laughs more often than me is my wife. I don't know why she laughs at me, but that's what happens. But she also says I'm not funny, so I don't know why she's
Do we
laughing.
have city sports programs?
What's that?
Do we have city sports programs for
Yes.
kids?
Yep.
And probably the coaches are volunteers.
Yep.
And there are probably waiver of liability forms.
Yep.
So we could probably mimic
Yep.
another department pretty easily, right?
I would expect we can.
Okay.
We have waivers in place. She
Yep.
just doesn't like volunteers to see
Mm-hmm.
what's happening at the shelter.
See, I mean, you're all aware, and again, you make me tap dance, right? And tiptoe around. No, I know, and I'm trying I'm trying to protect the integrity of the system for what I have to do as a responsible boss and leader. All of this stuff is where we are headed, just so you're aware. These are the things that we are. So I'm not going to go into these things. Just know that in my mind, getting those animals out of the shelter, because I think we need to be picking up more, getting them through the shelter, getting them back out. My fear is that the more they go in, the danger is if I don't have a place to get them out to, then that's where the bad stuff kind of happens.
And don't you think that that's where the management of the shelter comes in?
Yes.
You've mentioned that several times. Is there a plan in place now to do that? Is that just a thought? Or
Like,
there
what is
something
her
in place?
take on this?
The plan where it's at is that we have 3 individuals over at the shelter, and I think you know who they are. They're doing the website, they're doing the outreach that we are doing.
And you see that more now.
And I want to give them more ability to do that, because the hard part about a rescue, the hard part about fosters and everything is they are all volunteer as well, right? So the sports leagues. The sports leagues go really well when the parents are very active and very involved. When you get a group that's not as active and involved, then the sports leagues struggle. Same thing with this. I mean, the idea is that we want rescues. We need to speak the same language as rescues as well too, because they can't get the animals out the same way as that what we need. So we have to find that model that works between. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, because I heard you say that the animal isn't, like you will take the animal and it's 3 days and then they're ready for adoption. But then you said something about the 4th day they become eligible for euthanization.
Yeah. This is on this slide right here.
So basically they have 1 day to get adopted, and if they don't,
No.
they die?
No.
Well, that's
No.
why I was asking for
Yeah.
clarification about
So
it.
please look at this slide, and when you get a chance, this is a combination of a couple different sections. You can see my directive up there, getting the shelter down to 90% capacity. It's for the safety of all animals that we have out there. In order to prevent the overcrowding, we will carry an animal for up to 18 days. That's the number that you were looking for, 18 days. And there is room for adjusting that depending on what the situation is. But owner redemption should occur within 3 days. I mean, that's, and if we're doing our job, then hopefully most of the animals, I think the lady left that had trouble with that, but
6 hours to get her done.
yeah, so we need to do a little bit better on that side. And that's where I believe that if we can strengthen our ladies that are doing this outreach and give them the tools and the support to do this, I think they're going to do a fantastic job. They're the ones that have the adoption trailer out there right now. By the way, all of you that came, you won 1 puppy. Congratulations. You get one.
I'll take it.
No.
I got 6 at home.
No, all right. So, maybe we can talk about that. So, yes, ma'am. There you go. All right. So, this is the.
Available for 18 days, because if it will be available, then it's in conflict with what the director's authority is.
Correct. There are certain things that'll happen. So the problem we have right now is we have animals over there that have been there for way too long. I mean, we have some that are coming in there. The problem is that when there's no room at the end, we have this backlog of everything that's happening. So
We need more fosters.
and so the 18-day was to establish a standard for everybody so that they can understand what we're trying to do. Right now, it's up to director discretion, right? So the idea is that we put this out there because I want you all to know this is how we want to work our process. So when we work with the rescues, when we work with the fosters, when we work with even adoptions, we focus on getting them out of there before that time frame. And because I need to get the entire city working the system the right way. So the shelter department shall have the discretion to retain an animal beyond 4 days, but should not exceed the 18. Any dog or cat impounded that is not redeemed or adopted within 7 days may be disposed of. So the 7 day is in there, but if we have room at the end, there's no reason to. There's only 2 reasons to put an animal down: the capacity or the health of the animal. Those are the only 2 reasons to euthanize any animal. So if we're running out of space, that endangers anything that's over the 4 days. And so we have to walk through that very careful. And just so you know, when I've done this before as well too, we generally would run over capacity for at least a day, and we would bring it back in line over that next couple of days. So the idea is not not clear house, right? The idea is not to do that. It's trying to get a system so that when we're working with the rescues, when we're working with fosters, they understand the importance of what timeline we're trying to
What
get.
about, I have 5 animals outside right now that I'm hoping to take care of that don't belong to me, because when I did call, they said about, to be honest, when
Yep.
they called, they said, to be honest with you,
today because it's posted out there now. This was finalized yesterday. I had a November 1st date to start because it was all tied to the capacity, bringing the capacity down and implementing some of this. Because I'm working with the crew and the staff directly through Chief Landine, we went ahead and we got the work done. They've made the adjustments for the treatments that we do, the vaccinations, everything we do, and so I think we're all good. And so we're going to implement that. I will say it will be a delicate implementation because again, I don't want to just say, hey, 18 days, we're going. I want to make sure that we understand the implications of what that is. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Knapp, I'm sorry, I've been sitting here and I'm really frustrated with some of what I've heard from you.
Sure.
And one of the basic problems here is that you're treating dogs and cats the same, and they're not the same. And I belong to a cat rescue, I belong to Best Friends, and we have a national organization that over the years has reached out to the city of Laredo to help, and each time they've been turned down. I don't understand why the city won't accept outside help. But I used to be, in fact, Ms. Solis and I and Ms. Newman were on the original board when the city finally realized that they had to have a board for their shelter when they built it. Sure. And we helped pass the TNR ordinance. And so what frustrates me the most is that when a cat is astray, from what I've heard from you, the only way, if that cat comes into your shelter, the only way out of that shelter is adoption, a rescue, maybe a volunteer of some sort, or euthanasia. Yeah. And that is not true. That's not what TNR is about. And then you're also equating colonies and community cats, and they are not the same thing. TNR nationally was created to help save cats that were strays, that are maybe not adoptable, and that euthanasia, or the fact that they are homeless or a stray, doesn't mean a death sentence. And you need to understand that.
What I'm saying is that's not the way the law is written.
Well, but this is a city ordinance.
Right.
You all, the city council, wrote this ordinance to meet your ideas and expectations. It doesn't fit reality.
Agreed.
You just don't want to pay for spay and neuter. That's the bottom line. But you know what? Us rescues, we're doing it nickel and diming and fundraising and raffles and bubble funds, and we are going out of town to find lower cost spay and neuter. Why can't the city do that?
What I want to leave you with though is that what I'm trying to provide tonight are the facts of the process. You've all said that the system's not working properly. All right?
It's broken.
So I have to start somewhere, and you guys started at a different place than I did. I said, what are the laws? What are the rules? What are we supposed to be doing? Because the way the Texas state law is written, and then the way that the city law is written, is not for the health of the animal, it's for the health of the people. And if we're going to change that a little bit, then we need to have those conversations. That's all I'm saying, is that we have a lot of conversations we have to have from there. All right, I'm going to, Ryan, please take control of vaccinations.
Mr. Nebbs,
Yes.
there's people that have gone to the shelter to walk through and see if my cat is there or my dog is there, and, oh, you can't come in.
Exactly.
Look on the website, we talked about most of, there's pictures, but not all. So how do I find my dog or my cat? Then I do find my dog or my cat, and now I have to pay you a fine of $1,000, or you can't have your cat. And then like, okay, well, can I work out something? Can I be a volunteer? Can I do this? Can I, no, $1,000 or your cat. Why would the city want to keep another animal? Give me an opportunity to work.
But it goes back to exactly why you want to find the breeders for breeding animals. Is that if somebody is not taking it right? I know, but that's the thing is that we have to hold people responsible to take care of their pets.
Has your dog ever gotten out? Ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
Yep.
You know, my dogs have never gotten out. And every day I check that fence.
Yep.
But even if one got out, how are they gonna return it to me if they don't have records on the chips?
Right.
And why are you gonna charge me
Using the computer either.
$1,000 a fine, and he was here 5 days, but I was here 5 days, and you never told me that, you know, some of those dogs end up at the, you know, at the, friend's house. There's a pug that was picked up and ended up at somebody else's house. Was that person rehabilitated? Did we give him another opportunity?
No, I think it's termination.
Very good, very good. There's times when, you know, terminate.
I'm gonna add just a little bit with Ms. Cavazos. It's a TNR that the nonprofits or the rescue people do, and there's SNR. That's where the city comes in, and whatever they pick up as a stray or something, they spay and neuter, and they take it back. It returns. We don't release because the city ordinance says that we don't release animals. It's returned. So I learned that. Not to say release. But yes, SNR, it's like, that's the only thing that we were asking for, just for the city to kind of force, you know, more the SNR.
What I'm telling about trap, neuter, and release is because we're not following this that I showed you, the facts of how it's supposed to operate there. We have this hybrid, and when I see these hybrids, then it becomes more subjective as to how it's done. That's the stuff I'm saying, is that we gotta get the subjectivity out of that and say, this is how we're gonna operate the program. Otherwise, the next director or the next employee out there will say, well, this is the way I read that language. And then they're gonna do something, and we'll be back in here for another round of this, right? And I'm good. If you guys wanna keep going, we'll keep going. Yes, ma'am.
So realizing there are some concerns about the 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, I've seen over the last week or so on Facebook, and that's the only social media that I use, so I don't know if the city uses other means as well. But there are dogs that are posted for the 3-day notification, but it indicates the date in as 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. What's been happening in that 2.5 weeks? Were they not posted? Was this the first time posted? Are they being reposted?
They could have been posted on Facebook, so.
And where are they posted, I guess?
Well, and again, I really should have started with my end slides before I started with the middle slide. Because there, I don't know, we use PetPoint as our intake software.
Well, my understanding is it's not actually being used. And
Correct.
that's
Not
why
fully
that hand jamming is
Exactly.
incorrect.
There are pups in the shelter that have actually grown up in the shelter, some that have been there since August or July and are just being seen by rescue groups. And I'm not saying your staff is not, they're overwhelmed, but that is happening.
I'm looking to see where to go. All right, we'll start here with that, and I'm going to answer those questions right now. All right, so we utilize PetPoint. That is our intake software. We spent money to have good intake software because everybody wanted to know, and that happened back in 2017 because they said, we don't know what's out there, so how can we help?
Exactly.
So PetPoint is out there. Just so you know, in New Mexico, we used, I don't think it was PetPoint, but we used 24 Pet Connect, which is the online version of that. PetPoint has a very similar one. We have not used it.
No.
And it essentially, consider it a catalog for everything that came in there. It'll have 2 pictures. If you read my manual there, every animal will have 2 pictures. It may not be like Dust Bunny where he has the little cardigan on, right? But I think that was their effort to try to get more animals out through the social media site, and that's okay. That's okay. But we have to have this formal action that says we will have 2 pictures of every animal, and they will be out there. So the animal adoption access point will be changed. Let's see. All right, Facebook. For those of you that probably found it as well too, Facebook actually had the comments section shut off. So you couldn't comment on anything that was posted. Technology error, all right? We have reinstituted that comment section. I will ask everybody though that we will remove derogatory, bad comments. The idea,
System crashed.
Yeah.
There's
The idea is it's supposed to be that interaction between all of us to try to save these animals and get them out. So Facebook's open. And the reason I'm standing up in front of you as well too is that please don't try to talk to me on Facebook. Give me a call or email. If you just want to talk about the business, that's fine. I really believe social media is for all of you to interact with each other. If you want a formal response, you want a more legit response, drop me an email. And I will respond as best I can. If it's something I don't want to talk about, like I've said tonight, then I will let you know that, but I will tell you why. Please help me with that. All right, open records. They will be responded in a quicker fashion. Now, open records, we have X number of days to respond to an open record, and that's what we were talking about. Or we have to inform the person that was asking for the records and say it's a burdensome issue, it's going to take us 5 more days, or whatever it is. So that's the thing with open records.
So the records that were released that were wrongful, are those going to be re-released, corrected?
I would be happy to do that. The challenge is because the open record request was an individual. I think we owe it to the individual to talk to them about saying, hey, the information was wrong. Here's the corrected information, and here's why it's correct.
Prior to tonight, has that occurred?
No, I don't think it happened until
We sent it to legal.
you sent it to legal so everything that's an open record gets blessed by legal before it goes out. So, thank you, Chief. All right. Animal adoption access point. So this is essentially that 24 Pet Connect or whatever it is.
Pet point.
Yeah, the Pet Point for this. 24 Pet Connect is the one. It's essentially a catalog of all of the animals. And it will tell you if they've been tagged. It will tell you if they've already been adopted. That answers some of those questions that were being asked, is that why can't I know the status of this animal?
Right.
So we're gonna take care of that. And we will be publishing the intake and outgoing numbers. And we're gonna get back to that. I think that's what we used to do with the committee. And we will be publishing how many are coming in, how many are going out, so that everybody has an idea of where they're at. I hate publishing euthanization numbers, but those are actual numbers as well too. Happy to let everybody see all of it. The curtain will be drawn down. That's all I'm saying, all right? I do need everybody's help here as well too. The system will not work by the city alone. It's going to take everybody.
One point with asking to increase pulls by fosters and adoptions, the city has a history of relying on fosters and adoptions to do their work for them. By that I mean lowering those numbers. The city needs to have the public adopt animals, and when they are adopted out, they cannot be given out for free and unfixed as it's being done now.
Right.
It just can't.
Yeah, and the challenge, and that's why we get into the free, right? Because if it's too expensive, people are going to say, oh, then I'm not going to adopt, right? I mean, I know, but if it's free, and then you want us to pay for the spay neuter and anything else, here's the number.
Can we look into why it is so cost effective for Nuevo Laredo to provide those services versus here? What is the difference? Can we?
Lax does those services. We bring in vets from out of town.
I know.
Why do we have to bring
vets from out of town? Why can't we find somebody that's actually affordable here in the city?
See, I think the challenge we have with this is that there was this mentality, right? And like I said, we don't have to have a vet on staff, not really. We like to have one. If we had one hired, we would love one, right?
If you're only adopting
Right.
out 25 animals per month, why can they not be spayed and neutered?
Right.
If they're only 25.
Right.
Start making a dent.
And this goes back to what the gentleman was talking about, the high price on spay and neuter, right? It is based upon the weight of the animal. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Not?
Yes.
That's what I keep getting told.
It takes
Yeah.
the same amount of
Okay.
time, a little more medicine, but that's it.
Okay, the medicine is different, okay. So, so $50 to $60 is what I was told is our average cost for most of the animals we spay and neuter.
Yes. Where? That's their cost.
Yeah.
That's their
Yeah.
cost. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, well, and I would take the price of the employee if we had one and divide that out. If you go out on the open market, it's gonna be a little bit higher as well too.
People want to get their dogs fixed, they just can't afford it.
If those numbers are right, we'll be good, because we don't have, the main thing is that if you overprice getting the strays out of there, then one, the adoptions don't happen, then the rescues. And not all rescues are nice people either. You guys all know that as well too. There are some people out there that are very predatory, and we want to be careful of that, because it's, in my mind, it's just like somebody trying to sell puppies down Walmart. So these are the numbers there. This is all the information there. Let's see. All right, here's the stuff, and I'm saying it out loud so that you guys know that it's going to happen. All right, and now somebody might try to prove me wrong, but that doesn't usually last long. I can at least assure you that. We will have a draft SOP manual. We already have essentially we have Corpus, we have San Antonio, we have a bunch of different ones that say these are the standard operating procedures that they operate by. So we're going to incorporate the best of the best, and we're going to say this is how we're operating. The shelter will be brought down to 90% capacity by November. That has been moved to March 31st because I definitely don't want to put down any animal that we can get adopted out. And that'll give us 6 months to get this other system. All right, yep, 2024. Sorry.
That's fast.
Yep. Yeah, that was my speed this morning after not sleeping last night, trying to think about what I wanted to talk about. All right. 2 qualified employees and 1 licensed veterinarian. These were my directives that I provided to the department that I wanted. The updates are where they're at now with that. So when you ask where's the movement, this is movement as well too. My understanding is our current process is that 2 individuals out there will make the determination if we have to put an animal down, and the vet has a say as well. And so that was really nice when I heard that. All right, at least 1 employee will be scheduled to serve as a rescue foster coordinator. We need somebody that has that contact. We already have the individuals for that contact. I think Ms. Flores and the other 2 individuals there, they just need to be empowered and supported to do more of this work. And so we have 3 assigned employees that will be helping with the relationship agreement. We will have, just so you all know as well too, those of you that are rescues, we will have written agreements with every rescue, because there's a responsibility on both sides. That just keeps everything clean, everything nice. I would like to know who all the fosters are as well too, because I don't want to leave any foster out there, because we got a lot of people. I heard of a couple of them tonight that are taking in animals. I wouldn't call them a foster really, but they're fosters. And I think they should be thanked because it's not in the facility. That's the nice thing. So we'll find a better way with that one. Shelter guidelines by September 15th. No later than October 1 to be implemented if there was anything in there. So I've had these out for a couple months. The big thing was that tell me if it breaks any Texas law, and tell me if there's any violation within our city code. So we're all good. My understanding is that after staff went through the document, we're all solid. That document will be implemented. There's only some things in there because I didn't get to cover it. This is the part about the operation of the shelter as well too. The guidelines that I utilized, I can't remember the animal group that did that, but it is a veterinary group. They recommend 15 minutes per animal per enclosure of care that is given on a daily basis. So that's feeding, that may be cleaning the cage or cage. I got in trouble once for using the term critter, just so you know, and I have to be more sensitive, so I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't call it cages, they're enclosures. They're just a holding facility. But the idea is that we spend a little bit of time with every animal in order to help with all the other stuff that happens of caging an animal. There's the proper word to keep. And so 15 minutes of time. I don't have the staff for even 303 enclosures, but I wanted to set the standard. And we can make up the difference with volunteers, we can make up the difference in a lot of different ways until we can get there. And so that's where that's gonna be important. The last item up there is the animal intake and tracking software. Let me finish this one, please. Is that we need to get Pet Point. So my understanding is that Pet Point is a cloud-based software. It can be done anywhere. We have 2 stations at the office, so when an officer goes out and does a pickup or anything else, then they come back and they sit at a computer and type it all in there. We're going to equip them with tablets or iPads or whatever you want to call them. They will do that work out there.
The city already bought the tablets.
Okay.
A couple of years
Well,
ago.
my understanding is we're not using them. So, I mean, according.
So surprised.
Yep. So we'll go through that. But the idea is to get those 2 pictures per animal.
Yes.
And to get all that information so that when somebody looks at our catalog, they know exactly what that animal is and who is there. Because there's a lot of rescues out there that do specific breeds, right?
Right.
They don't do just everything, they do specific breeds. So we have to make that system there. And I know that Pet Point does it as well. You can filter, you can change, you can pick which animals you want to pull on. Or how long
What's the
you
new
been there.
date? What's the new date
New dates?
for that last one?
Oh, where are we at, Chief, with that one? I had October 1st, and we missed that date. For Pet Point being fully functional.
Pet Point is operational. They are logging in. One of the things that we want to add to that is
So we are utilizing it now, but it's cumbersome, right? It costs us a little bit more time and people to do that, but they are utilizing it.
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
We're utilizing it. The staff is. When I was there with them, they were actively inputting data. They were actively inputting the data there. And one of the things that the city manager would like to do is that catalog that we talked about, so you can know every animal that's in there. And that's they're going to have some training in November. It's already on the calendar for them to be able to dive in there and learn how to do that. And those 3 that are assigned to work on those issues will be moving forward. So we've been having a lot of discussions and working together with the team, and I want to thank them because they've been wonderful. From the moment that I started interacting very closely with them, they've been very, very responsive, and they're doing a great job. And so, and also with Ms. Flores and the team there. So we're working on these pieces.
Why hasn't all this, why hasn't that ball been rolling since back then? You have to come and do it, you have to come and do it, you don't have a director to do it, to do her job, to manage her people. Because what you're talking about, the tablets, that was when Rangel was there, and that was years ago. And those tablets were bought so that these guys could go out and take a picture of the dog and say, oh, this dog is on Ash Street or whatever, and that they would upload that with the tablet. And oh, we're not using it. We're not using a lot of stuff. We're not using ordinances, we're not using budgets, we're not using a lot of stuff. How can we better the system when we're just not doing it?
We're working at it.
I just want to say something, in my personal opinion. While you were at the City of Laredo Police Department, I feel like you did a pretty decent job there. I was very pleased to see what you did. So basically my expectations for you getting involved with the shelter are extremely high. They're extremely high. But I do want to thank you for what you did at the Laredo Police Department. And I personally want to thank you for what you're doing now with the shelter. And I do feel like you will make a difference. And yes, I understand that a lot of things weren't being done, but we're hoping that moving forward, we're just moving to a better place. And we understand that it takes time, but we also understand that there's a lot of work to be done. I just wanted to say that.
The only thing I'll add to that is that The city manager said it earlier, it's a team approach. You all are part of that.
Right.
The rescues are a big part of that. The adoptions are part of that. The public education is part of that. The cooperation is the biggest part of that, okay, because that's everybody. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I was tied up at PD for a long time, no doubt. I'm back at City Hall since July 24th. We have a new chief shortly thereafter. I've been working closely with the manager and the director. And so ultimately, there's expectations that have been set, and we're gonna chase after them with the director there, or with the director, she's out for now. So we're moving forward. The team is doing great.
Is Pet Point accessible to the public, or is that only?
There was a problem with that. Wait, it will be. It will be accessible.
So that's the timeline
That's-
I'm asking.
yeah,
What is
okay.
that
All right.
anticipated timeline?
One of the things that we talked about as a team with the Pet Point, because I sat with the ladies there that are inputting data and working with the public, I talked to, there's two sections. We have people doing the data inputting, and then we have people working social media. In November, Pet Point training will be occurring. One of the things that the city manager directed us to do is to put on our website the statistics that will be, we're gonna try to work through these things. I don't have the answer to your specific question, but we're gonna be working at it. And again, it's a teamwork.
I'm with Best Friends Friday, as you know, and I'm also with Labs. After the divorce of the city and Labs, right? They were still together because of the kids. But honestly, and I hope that we built a better relationship, because this is the first leadership that we have, and I'm not talking about the staff, I think the staff is wonderful, but it's been the first time that we don't have a good communication, where we can help, because we always help. I mean, I was there with Homero, Rangel, Beto, and we always had a very, very good partnership, or helping each other, especially with park cases, pulling out. I know Jess, Ms. Flores, you know, she would call me or Amanda before, and can you pull out cats, you know, can you help us out? This time there's no communication whatsoever.
Okay, well, sorry, boss. I've been doing this for a while. I've been planting a seed. I'm that type of person. I drop an idea and I plant a seed. And something I've been looking at, I like to call it from the stadium, watching the game on the field, right? Watching all the players and what's going on. One of the things I've noticed in the more than 30+ years that I've been around city government is that the directorship of the animal shelter has also had that revolving door, and it's a thankless job. Because I see it. I see them all get attacked. And what the boss is trying to do is set up a structure so that the face is no longer the boss, it's a rule. All right, and if we have that structure, which is what he's laying down today, showing you, then don't get mad at the director, who, if it's her or the future or whatever, it's the rule. Okay, and that's why we need to be in this team.
What about the management?
The management's important.
But if she doesn't follow it, then there's consequences.
There's rules,
Such as the
structure.
ones that were like in the city, for instance, in the.
So going back to what I said.
With the water, somebody was fired over that. So a lot of dogs and cats have been euthanized here. Who was fired over that?
He wasn't fired, they moved him to be an assistant city manager.
No, yeah.
And then he retired.
No, but they had their little
That
checks.
wasn't
They put them
I just want to check.
So
Just so you know, I picked it too, but.
So the seed that I'm just kind of throwing out there, and I've said it before, and is there an opportunity for a potential privatization of something like this? Because then the measurement becomes the group. Maybe a private endeavor there, that it's detached but supported from the city. I've been,
We tried that, and the city.
that happened a long time ago, in 2016, you said?
No,
The
well,
divorce?
the divorce was at 2012.
Okay, good, and that's what before. Maybe we can press rewind and learn from those lessons and maybe kind of throw it out there as a thought. I mean, we're not gonna settle that today, right? But I sat with him and I said, boss, think about this. The decision isn't now, it's a policy decision from the city council, directing him who directs the rest of us. But it's just a seed to have the thought, because that position is a thankless position that will be attacked, but now there's a structure.
And I think we can always attack the rule differently, right? I mean, if the rules are being followed and we want to change the rule, we change the rule. Right?
I have a question, but it doesn't need to be
Let
bifurcated this time.
me get some people, she hasn't spoken at all yet.
I would also like to plant a seed, like Mr. Landine said. So according to what you showed earlier, spaying and neutering an animal costs between $50 and $60, but euthanasia costs $20, right?
Yep.
So if the average litter holds 6 pups that can then end up loose on the streets and be euthanized,
Right.
that would be $120 of euthanasia. So if the city does more spaying and neutering,
Right.
in the long run, you will be saving money because you will not have to be euthanizing all of those animals. So if that's the average litter, or housing and feeding them, or having people go out and then pick up the animals off the streets, all the gasoline, the insurance, the tires, the vehicles, when you
ACO
add all that
salaries
up,
at $109,000 for an ACO.
there you go.
The challenge
So-
we have is that we have 8,500 animals going through the shelter now.
Right.
We believe that we're probably 6 times larger, because and that's why we're not doing enough spay and neutering to have an impact. They're birthing over the top of what we're getting done.
Right, but the city of Laredo doesn't really do a lot of spay and neutering.
But we have
even
started.
low cost.
It's
Very-
not working correctly.
very-
I mean,
well, it's
'cause
very little.
you guys are spay and neutering, we're spay and neutering.
But it's very small compared to the population. Also, when
Let her finish.
1 in 5 people in the city of Laredo live below the poverty line,
Right.
that's where we have the issue. And as a community, as a city, we have the
Charging too much.
responsibility, the city does, to help defer those costs and to help keep our community safe by spaying and neutering animals. And in the end, that will save you money in the long run.
Right, and there
So-
are spay-neuter grants available with national organizations.
All right.
That the city
I
can
think
apply
we're hitting
for.
a few, we've lost a few to curfew probably.
You said that spay neuter costs $50 to $60. Look, every one of us knows in this room and really throughout the city that spay neuter is the answer to the overpopulation.
Exactly.
If there is a way for the city to contract out to vets for $50 to $60 per spay neuter, every single person who has an animal will go and pay that. You can make lists and say, we're gonna make a list and we're gonna do 100 animals, 50 animals over the weekend, whatever the case may be. People will pay the $50 and $60. It wouldn't cost you anything except putting out an RFP.
And the only part I'm gonna disagree with you just a little bit, because I don't think spay and neutering is the answer. No, listen to me, because you're gonna agree with me at some point. It's the education of our people to never put those animals into the condition of that.
And suspending all permits for backyard breeders. Those should be suspended with the overpopulation we have now.
That's 180, and that was, 185 dogs spayed and neutered in La Latiguera, and that section alone.
Yeah.
But
Let me ask.
if there are no consequences, you're going to continue to violate. So if it's breeding, if it's leaving your dogs out, if there are laws that are broken and there are no consequences, then who gives a crap?
Well, and the thing is, and this is the problem, the challenge we have with it, not a problem, it's a challenge, is that we set a fee on it. All we can do is take it to court. The judge determines if the fee will be charged, or if it will not be charged.
but are they getting issued?
Right.
Are they
And
getting
that,
issued
and
and
that,
going to?
in my mind, that's where we should be, is doing that work. Otherwise, get rid of the law.
It's still a pain in the butt to go to court and have it dismissed.
You said education. Have you all networked with the school districts? The kids want community service hours. If you educate the little ones about pets,
Agreed.
they will sell.
Agreed.
They will sell to their parents.
Yes.
Education is key to solving this problem.
Yeah.
Education. But if you don't network with the school districts, if you don't go to the schools and teach those children the value of taking care of their pets, giving the high school students, middle school students right now need community service hours. They can go and walk those pets.
Yeah, but you
But
won't
you need
allow
to
it.
network.
Yep, I agree.
Director won't allow it.
Communication is the key.
Yes.
All the way through.
Information.
So, yes, ma'am.
I'm from the school district. Been working with Angie. We're actually working with the schools, and students are fostering.
Thank you.
She's doing all the work. You probably saw us on the newspaper. That's me. Thanks to Angie. It's a network. She is the one that's been getting the rosters. We get the students. They're getting community hours. We actually was here late because we were even honored at the school district as well. The superintendent wants to expand it to all schools. So yes, like you said, well, we need still spay and neuter, but we are also planning to increase the awareness by doing flyers or so. Our youth are the key. You probably got some of my emails. I am the one that's telling my students to call you, to send emails to.
Thank you.
I am making it.
And just so you know, I'm telling everybody, go ahead, email me. Hey,
Yes, excuse me, sorry.
Thank you.
I said I teach social problems, so yes, I know how this works. Yeah, it's basic education and spade and neutering as well. And it's spade and neuter is the long term. You guys are just focusing on the short term. So I am willing to help work with you or so and get the schools involved. So there we have education, but can you help us out with the spade and neutering now?
Exactly. Nobody else is making new.
$50, $60.
let me ask, all right, because there's some email addresses up there if you don't know how to get a hold of me, but, or Mr. Chief Landine, let me ask you, I really appreciate, I'll say it first, I really appreciate you spending the time talking about this with me and with the team and everything. We're going to take everything that we talked about and we're going to, again, I'm implementing the stuff that I shared. All of it, even if I didn't talk about it, right? But I will, this is the stuff that we are going to get moving on, and we're going, essentially we're pulling that curtain down, and I need your help to help us, right? And we're gonna lean on you as much as I hope you lean on us, and we're gonna put this thing right. Again, I don't know, I think the city has tried it a few times to try to do it better and differently, and something gets in the way, we're gonna keep after it.
Two quick questions.
Yep.
To continue transparency, communication, and accountability, when is the next town hall meeting for this? And two, how long of the leave is Patty now on? Is she gonna be back in a week, 2 weeks, a month?
There's a date when it'll be back. Until then, Chief Landine is going to take those responsibilities. So it should not be any different, other than Chief Landine is kind of help directing traffic with the staff and everything. The staff are doing a great job. So, but now here in my mind, the one thing that I would really like to make sure that happens, because I don't mind doing these types of meetings, right? But it's hard on everybody to wait until it gets to this level to have these conversations. I would rather have the conversations ongoing so they never reach this level. And that's why I'm trying to be as honest as I can with the rules and everything as well too, so that you kind of know where we set today as to where we want to go. Because the whole next conversation is where are we going, where do we want to be, and how do we want to get there, right? And so there's a lot of different ways that we can get there.
Now,
What I would like to do, though, is at some point in time, we're going to get anybody that wants to talk about this back into the committee system, the Animal Care Committee. We've had trouble with a little bit of the quorums, right? And so we're going to get it back into the committee, because the committees are built to help do surveys. The committees are helped to evaluate. They're an advisory group to the council. And they're supposed to be closer to everything, and they're supposed to say, this is what we believe we should be working on. And so I intend, and we've had this conversation with the city council, because we have boards and commissions and committees that don't function well for one reason or another. We need to help them, because there's over 150 citizens out there in one committee or group, along with all of you that are doing your business on the side, you know, as rescues and everything else. We have a lot of brain power. That's all I'm saying. And we just have to kind of pull it together and get it focused. And so the idea is to get it back into the committee structures, and which means that we need to fix our agenda, right? We need the agendas to be correct. We need the agendas to be complete about what we're talking about, because when people see those agendas, they'll know when they are interested in whatever the subject is. I'm happy to say, at least for the town hall meetings, because again, I don't mind talking about this. This is important to me as well too. It is, grew up on a farm and everything. Animals are important. And I want to try to find a better solution, because I can see where the communication between cities and the rescues are not always, they don't talk the same language for different reasons. I think we can translate that though, and I keep working to try to find that best translation. And we're going to do it here in Laredo, just because I think we will. So in my mind, we'll get this back into the committee structure, because I want to make the committee aware of everything that we're doing too, because I'm assuming you probably haven't seen much of this, of the document for the shelter, of the presentation, because I don't think it had been showing up on the agenda. I know there was certain conversation. We're going to fix that, because it's going to be done right. Outside of that, I would say that it will probably be, and I will work with the committee on this, we would schedule another town hall in 3 months. Well, it takes a while to move things, and so, I mean, because we've been nudging things, right? And certain things happen, and they change how we have to nudge, and how we have to do that. I'm a proponent that I don't mind if I lose a leg out of my team, but that doesn't mean the work should stop. The work should continue. I mean, somebody else has to pick up the slack. It shouldn't sit and wait till somebody comes back, or anybody comes back. We have to cover on that, and that our structure is built to allow for that. So, thank you for your time. I know looks like about half our people had a curfew, right? They had to go home, call mom and dad or something. I don't know. But let me know. We'll try to get back together. I just appreciate your time, and I do enjoy what I do, and I really want to make sure any service that we provide is done well and done properly. So that's going to be the when we talk about whatever that ultimate goal is. That's where it's at, and then we'll tie it to every service that we do. So again, thank you again. So have a great evening. Be careful going home, and let me know where I can help.